Zheng Shi was so angry that she almost vomited blood. She had originally come to settle the score with Yun Chujiu, and at the same time, brought out the source of her spirit stone so that she could teach the old imperial consort not to favor Yun Chujiu. She did not expect that before she had the time to do so, she would have to use the public accounts to reimburse this bitch with 25 million high-grade spirit stones. Zheng Shi's expression was stiff as she said, "Mother, 25 million is not a small amount. If we reimburse little Jiu, I'm afraid the other 3 branches will have objections." The old imperial consort snorted coldly, "If anyone has objections, let him come to me. Little Jiu's monthly salary for so many years is not just this amount. Since the money is for little Jiu, she can spend it however she wants. What objections do they have?" Zheng Shi's face was flushed red from the rebuke. She could only clench her teeth and say to Yun Chujiu, "Since that's the case, little Jiu, you can go to the accounts room later to withdraw the spirit stones." Yun Chujiu said with a smile, "Then thank you very much, aunt. I knew that aunt was sensible and would not mistreat this niece of mine." Zheng Shi and Princess Shiyu said a few more words without embarrassment, and then left in embarrassment. Seeing that Zheng Shi and her mother had left, Yun Chujiu hugged the old imperial consort's arm and said, "I knew that grandmother would not blame little Jiu. Grandmother is the best." The old imperial consort pulled a long face, she glared at her. "You are really too willful. Puppets are really useless. Sigh, but since you like them, just buy them." "Oh right, where did you get so much money? Didn't you say that you only had 10 million in your hand?" Hei Xinjiu giggled. "Grandmother, isn't this not revealing your wealth? I still have some money. In the future, whatever you like, I will help you buy it back. Your granddaughter is really rich." The old princess poked her forehead with her finger and scolded her with a smile, but she didn't take it to heart. She felt that Yun Chujiu said that she was rich, but she only had a few tens of millions at most. How much money could a little girl have? On the other side, Zheng Shi and Princess Shiyu were not in such a good mood. Princess Shiyu gritted her teeth and said, "Mother, what should we do? That slut is getting more and more arrogant. That old fool will give all her money to that slut sooner or later." Zheng Shi said coldly, "Don't be impatient. If there's a suitable opportunity, mother will naturally kill that bitch." The mother and daughter spoke for a while more. Nanny's son came in from outside and wanted to say something but hesitated. Zheng Shi frowned. "What's the matter?" "Madam, the informant beside the prince said that the prince has been getting close to a woman called Su Lianxin recently. That woman looks a little like Lady Yi," Nanny's son said carefully. Zheng Shi immediately threw the teacup on the ground. He's really infatuated. He couldn't find the main person, so he found a substitute. Immediately bring someone to capture that little, slut, person for me. Granny's son said with difficulty, I'm afraid that he can't be captured. I heard that Su Lian vowed to never obey, so the Lord sent many guards to keep an eye on her, afraid that she would escape." Zheng Shi became even more furious when she heard that. Good. Good. He's really a slut. The more people ignore him, the more he wants to chase the sun. Princess Shiyu saw that Zheng Shi was extremely angry. She hurriedly advised, "Mother, calm down. He's just a slut, why are you so angry? Father is just trying to get something new. When he gets it, he won't care so much. When the time comes, you can deal with that slut." Zheng Shi's expression softened a little. Then, she said to Granny's son, "Send someone to keep an eye on it. If there's any movement, report to me." "Yes." Yun Chujiu had just returned to her own courtyard. Before she could play with the puppets, there was a knock on the door. Yun Chujiu asked Xihua to open the door. It was Yun Jichen. Yun Jichen was ranked 5th, so Yun Chujiu said with a smile, "5th brother, why are you looking for me? Are you here to teach me a lesson about spending money?" Yun Jichen smiled. "Your own money, of course you can spend it however you want. I have other matters to discuss with you. Let's talk in the study room." Yun Chuzhou asked Shi Hua and Shi Shui to keep an eye on the outside before entering the study room with Yun Jichen. Little Jiu, you really have guts. What exactly do you want to do to incite my mother to do those things? Yun Jichen said sternly. He had returned early today. When he was paying his respects to the He clan, when he mentioned Yun Chujia's matter, the He clan hesitated for a moment and decided to tell him about it. That was why he had come looking for Yun Chuzhou to settle the score. Yun Chuzhou did not care about Yun Ziken's serious expression at all. She casually sat down on the chair. Fifth brother, you're so smart, so you naturally know what I want to do. I'm even more curious. Fifth brother, what do you want to do by following the fifth prince? Yun Jichen did not say anything. He stared coldly at Yun Chuzhou. Yun Chujia's clear eyes did not show any signs of weakness as she stared at him. The two of them looked at each other for a long time before Yun Jichen chuckled and said, as expected of second uncle's daughter. What a good scheme. You treat our 3 branches like knives. Do you think that our 3 branches are all fools? Yun Chuzhou poured a cup of tea for Yun Jichen and said with a smile, Fifth brother, that's not true. Hasn't third aunt's long-cherished wish been to become consort Yun? As for fifth brother, isn't your heart and soul also focused on becoming the crown prince of the prince's estate, or even the Duke of Yun? Otherwise, why would you have to follow the fifth prince around and work hard? I'm merely helping you guys. Fifth brother, you should be thanking me instead. Why are you still questioning me? Yun Jichen snorted coldly. Ninth sister, you are indeed smart, but don't try to be smart. The matter of the East Phoenix Kingdom is not as simple as you think. Yun Chuzhou took out a spirit fruit and took 2 bites, only then did she say, what's not simple about it? Isn't it just that the few members of the imperial family are also keeping an eye on the Yun family army? Isn't it just that the side of the bed doesn't allow others to snore? It's very simple to solve this problem. Wouldn't it be fine if the emperor were fifth brother instead? Yun Jichen was so frightened that he almost fell off his chair. Shut up. What nonsense are you spouting? Yun Chuzhou said nonchalantly, Fifth brother, what are you nervous about? As the saying goes, the emperor takes turns to be the emperor, so what's wrong with our Yun family doing it? Otherwise, no matter who ascends the throne, they will treat our Yun family as a thorn in their flesh. Since that's the case, let's destroy them and replace them. Yun Jichen looked at Yun Chuzhou in shock. He never thought that this 9th sister would be so audacious. He followed the 5th prince because he wanted to help the 5th prince ascend to the throne. When that time came, he would be able to control the Yun family. Otherwise, in terms of seniority, the crown prince would never be able to become his. However, overthrowing the throne was something that he did not dare to even think about. After a long while, Yun Jichen finally said, Little Jiu, the Leng family is a royal family that has been recognized by the heavens. Even if our Yun family really has the strength to overturn the Leng family, the citizens of the Dongfeng kingdom will not recognize us. Yun Chuzhou curled her lips. What do you mean by the recognition of the heavens? It's just a few tricks. For example, if there's a big rock somewhere, or if there's a messy note in the fish's stomach, then we'll just have to make a few things. Fifth brother, otherwise, do you think that the royal family is so awesome that they would still be afraid of our Yun family? It's all fake, it's all lies. Yun Jichen was stunned by Yun Chujia's words. He looked at Yun Chuzhou in a daze. It was the first time he had heard such words. He felt as if he had opened the door to a new world. So, it could be like this. After a long while, Yun Jichen took a sip of tea and calmed down. He then said, but, there's still the state preceptor. If the state preceptor helps the royal family, our Yun family has no chance of winning Pan, de N0, VE1, Ba. He's just a lecherous old fraud. If he was so powerful, why didn't he unify the 4 kingdoms? If he was so powerful, why didn't he resurrect the divine phoenix? Only you treat him like a plate of vegetables, a liar who pretends to be a charlatan. Cough cough. Cough cough. Yun Jichen almost choked on the tea in his mouth. This was the first time he heard someone say that the national advisor was a lecherous old fraud. Was this ninth sister crazy? Cough cough. Ninth sister, don't spout nonsense. The imperial tutor is the guardian of the divine phoenix. His words carry weight and cannot be disobeyed, Yun Jichin said seriously. Yun Chuzhou glanced at him. Forget it. Let's ignore him for now. Let me ask you, who do you think will win in the end between the fifth prince and the crown prince? Yun Jichin said without thinking, of course it will be the fifth prince. The crown prince is headstrong and opinionated. He is no match for the fifth prince at all. Isn't that enough? Do you think a person like the fifth prince will allow an existence like the Yun family to exist? If he ascends to the throne, I'm afraid the first thing he'll do is make an example of our Yun family. Yun Jichin knew that what Yun Chuzhou said was right. From the matter of the fifth prince wanting to marry Yun Chuzhou, he could see that the fifth prince was determined to obtain the Yun family army. Once he took control of the Yun family army, naturally, he could not tolerate the existence of the Yun family. Even if everything you said is right, what do you want to do? Yun Chuzhou threw the fruit core to the side and said with a faint smile, let's take it one step at a time. Anyway, we have to get rid of Yun Fengjian first, and then let grandfather invite you to be the Duke of Yun. As for the matter of the throne, if you feel that it's a little rash, then maintain a delicate balance and maintain the status quo. However, sooner or later, the royal family will fall out with each other. It's just a matter of time. Oh right, you can use the fifth prince to add fuel to the fire. This way, our plan will be implemented more smoothly. Yun Jichin nodded blankly. Then, the two of them chatted for a while more before Yun Jichin left Yun Chujia's courtyard. After walking for a long distance, Yun Jichin touched his nose. He seemed to have gone to interrogate them. How did it turn out to be a collusion? No, working together. Yun Jichin thought of what Yun Chuzhou had said, and his heart was filled with both fear and excitement. Could he really ascend to that position? The Supreme 9-5 was naturally very attractive, but could it really work? Seeing that Yun Jichin had left, Yun Chuzhou couldn't wait to take out the 5 puppets. After removing the original puppet disc, she placed the puppet disc with her own spiritual sense inside. The 5 puppets knelt on one knee. Greetings, Master. Yun Chuzhou had the experience from last time, so she wasn't too surprised. However, Shi Hua and Shi Shui were scared out of their wits. Didn't they say that the puppets could only passively defend? Why were these 5 still bowing to Miss Zhou? Yun Chuzhou commanded a few puppets to do some things. She found that there was no problem, but she didn't know how strong they were. She wanted to fight with the puppets, but she was afraid that it would cause too much trouble, so she had to put them away. In the next few days, Yun Chuzhou would either try to gain a good impression of the old prince and the old princess consort, or she would take a stroll on the streets. She looked rather heartless. Zheng Shi and Princess Shiyu snickered behind her back. This country bumpkin was indeed a glutton waiting to die. She was going to kill her sooner or later. On this day, Yun Chuzhou went to the old princess consort's courtyard to pay her respects. She found that almost all the members of the Yun family were there. She could not help but wonder, did something happen? Yun Chuzhou listened for quite a while before she finally understood. It turned out that the birthday of the divine phoenix was coming. According to tradition, all unmarried men and women of noble families could go to the divine phoenix valley to pick the fiery fruits that the divine phoenix liked to eat the most. In the end, they would be ranked according to the number of fiery fruits picked by each family. This ranking was not for nothing. The imperial preceptor would reward each family with the divine phoenix stone according to the corresponding ranking. It was said that the divine phoenix stone was formed from the feathers shed by the divine phoenix. Whether it was used to refine weapons or pills, it was an extremely precious material. Therefore, every clan in the East Phoenix country attached great importance to the annual fiery fruit picking. Yun Chuzhou was not interested in this. She was not willing to pick any bullshit fiery fruit. Maybe when the time came, those two little bastards, Zheng Shi and Princess Shiyu, would cause some trouble. If she went, wouldn't she be walking into a trap? Therefore, after the old royal highness and the old consort had finished talking, she said with a smile, "Grandfather, grandmother, can I not go? I'm such a waste. If I go, I'll be dragging everyone down. I'll stay at home with grandfather and grandmother." The corners of everyone's eyes twitched. This fellow really knew his own limits. However, it was also true. If she went, she would have to divert her attention to take care of her. It was better not to let her go. The old imperial consort was also worried that Yun Chuzhou would be in danger, so she scolded jokingly, "Since you want to be lazy, then don't go." Yun Chuzhou beamed with joy and thanked him. She thought to herself that she would let these idiots go look for broken fruits. If she had the time, she might as well study the newly bought talisman seal. Unexpectedly, 3 days later, in the morning, when everyone was about to set off, the imperial edict arrived. The gist of it was that because Yun Chuzhou was willing to sacrifice herself to the divine phoenix last time, she had to go pick the fiery fruit this time. Yun Chuzhia's heart was like a mutt. She felt that this was definitely the imperial preceptor's idea. How did she offend that fraud? There was no other way. Because the incident happened so suddenly, it was too late for He Xingjiu to pretend to be sick. She could only follow everyone to the Divine Phoenix Valley. The Divine Phoenix Valley was not far from An City, so everyone arrived at the Divine Phoenix Valley very quickly. There were many onlookers outside the valley. Some were commoners, while others were nobles. Everyone's attention was on He Xingjiu. This was because everyone was riding a wildebeest, and only this one was riding a big rabbit. He Xingjiu did not care about these gazes. She jumped off the big rabbit and looked around curiously. The entrance of the Divine Phoenix Valley was foggy. It was probably not time yet, so the valley entrance was not open yet. Just as Yun Chuzhou was looking around, the fifth prince walked over. "Ninth miss, after you enter, follow me. I'll protect you." Yun Chuzhou said indifferently, "I won't trouble the fifth prince. It's better for me to follow my brothers and sisters. After all, this is related to the honor of the family. I have to do my best." Seeing this, the fifth prince did not say anything more and turned to leave. Yun Shi Luo, the fourth son of the Yun family, curled her lips and said sourly, "What you say is better than what you sing. When the time comes, it would be good enough if you don't drag us down." "That's right. You have a seductive face and you flirt all over the place. How shameless." Yun Shiyan from the Yun family's fifth branch echoed. Princess Shiyu sneered in her heart. This Yun Chuzhou was really not well liked. Once she entered, if she had the chance, she would kill her directly. Yun Jifeng, the crown prince of the Yun family, snorted coldly. "Enough. This harvest concerns the reputation of our Yun family. If anyone drags down or causes trouble, don't blame me for being impolite." Yun Chuzhou rolled her eyes in her heart. This Yun Jifeng was really an idiot. Putting on airs in front of his brothers and sisters. Even if someone like him could inherit the throne, he would still be replaced by Yun Jichen in the end. After a while, the thick fog at the entrance of the valley finally dispersed, and everyone rushed into the Divine Phoenix Valley. The Yun family was naturally led by Yun Jifeng and Princess Shiyu. The men surrounded Yun Jifeng, while the women surrounded Princess Shiyu. Yun Chuzhou strolled around in the back indifferently. She didn't expect Yun Shilian from the third room to slow down and walk side by side with her. Yun Shilian said in a low voice, "Little Jiu, don't worry. Big brother and I will protect you." Yun Chuzhou smiled sweetly. "Thank you very much, eighth sister." Yun Shilian looked at Yun Chuzhia's smiling little face and thought, no wonder the Grand Tutor and the fifth prince have taken a fancy to little Jiu. Pan, the N0V1. This little Jiu was really good looking, especially when she smiled. It was so dazzling that it made people unable to open their eyes. The deeper they walked into the divine Phoenix Valley, the higher the temperature was, Yun Shilian explained, Little Joe, because the divine Phoenix Valley is a place where the divine phoenix is at its nirvana. It was once roasted by the nirvana fire, so the temperature is higher the deeper you go in. This is the only place in the towering sky continent that is suitable for the growth of the fire fruit. Yun Chujia's heart moved, and she asked, Eighth sister, since there was nirvana fire here, then is there a nirvana pearl? Yun Shilian didn't have the time to answer. Yun Shilian said with a sharp tone, TSK, I didn't expect that a country bumpkin like you would know about the nirvana pearl. It's really impressive. However, do you think that the nirvana pearl can be produced just like a cabbage? That's right. Don't speak if you're short-sighted. Otherwise, you'll lose the Yun family, Yun Shiyan echoed. Yun Chuzhou smiled and glanced at the two of them. Then, she raised her voice and said, Sister Shiyu, the two of them are scolding me. Help me make a decision. Princess Shiyu was originally gloating at the misfortune of Yun Chuzhou, but she didn't expect Yun Chuzhou to suddenly ask her to make a decision. She couldn't help but be stunned. Sister Shiyu, everyone in the East Phoenix Kingdom knows that you are virtuous and virtuous. You won't protect them, right? Everyone had heard what they had just said. They were blaming me for nothing. I don't want to live anymore. Hei Xinjiu said as she took out a handkerchief to wipe away her tears. She threw herself into Yun Zilian's arms and began to cry. Those who entered the divine Phoenix Valley were all sons of noble families. They were all very interested in the matters of the Yun residence, so many people quickly gathered. Princess Shiyu was so angry that she gritted her teeth. However, with so many people watching, she could only pretend to be fair. She said unhappily, Shi Luo, Shi Yan, although you two are kind-hearted and want to help little Joe, your tone is a little too rushed. Why aren't you apologizing to little Joe? Yun Chuzhou sneered in her heart. This Princess Shiyu really knew how to talk. Now that she said it, it seemed like she was being unreasonable. She said in a muffled voice, It's fine to be a little impatient, but they called me a country bumpkin. How am I a country bumpkin? How am I a country bumpkin? Sob. Yun Shilua naturally knew that Princess Shiyu was speaking up for her, so she said fearlessly, Aren't you a country bumpkin who came from a low-grade continent? What, did I say something wrong? Yun Shiyan echoed from the side, That's right. We were kind enough to explain your doubts, but you still complained. How shameless, P.A.N.N.O.V. Yun Chuzhou said while crying, I only found out today that sister said that sister is a country bumpkin out of kindness. It turns out that sister was right to say that sister is shameless. I don't dare to leave the courtyard again in the future to avoid being bullied to death. The onlookers pointed at each other. Even a fool could see that the position of the ninth miss of the Yun family in the Yun mansion was very awkward, and it was obvious that she was not liked. The crown prince of the Yun family, Yun Jifeng, saw that there were more and more people around and shouted angrily, Enough. Don't you think it's embarrassing enough? If anyone dares to make trouble again, you should leave the Yun family's team so that you won't affect the picking of the fiery fruits. Yun Shilian and Yun Shiyan immediately shrank their necks and glared at Yun Chuzhou fiercely. Then, they took a few steps closer to Princess Shiyu and went to curry favor with her again. Yun Shilian patted Yun Chuzhou twice, then, she comforted her, Little Joe, don't be sad. They don't mean what they say. There are other wild fruits in the divine Phoenix Valley besides the fiery fruit. I'll ask brother to pick some for you. The taste is really good. Really? Then let's go quickly. Hei Xinjiu immediately jumped up and down, and there was not a drop of tears on her face. Yun Shilian, so this guy was pretending just now. As they went deeper into the divine Phoenix Valley, the temperature became higher and higher. The people's foreheads began to be covered with fine beads of sweat. Only Hei Xinjiu was leisurely doing nothing. Yun Shilian was secretly amazed. This little Jiu was resistant to heat, but it was also true. The fire didn't burn her to death, so she was naturally not afraid of the heat. Yun Jichen picked some wild fruits and gave them to the girls. Yun Jifeng coldly reprimanded, "Fifth brother, our mission this time is to pick the fiery fruits. Don't waste your time." Yun Jichen gently said, "Got it, big brother." Yun Chuzhou snickered in her heart as she ate the wild fruits. This Yun Jifeng really knew how to act cool. He deserved to be schemed against by Yun Jichen. After walking for a while, Yun Shilua exclaimed, "Look! Fiery fruit." Yun Chuzhou looked in the direction that Yun Shilua pointed and saw a red patch on a tree in the distance. Each fruit was the size of a fist and looked very adorable. As they got closer and closer, Yun Chuzhou could already smell the rich fragrance of the fruit. "Master, it smells so good. Can you make some for me to taste?" Xiao Hanio said pitifully. Yun Chuzhou wiped the drool that was about to fall down. "Don't worry. When I get it, we can eat it to our heart's content." This guy didn't care about the divine phoenix stone. "Let's eat it to our heart's content first." When they were about to get close to the fiery tree, several fiery red snakes climbed down from the tree. On their heads were fiery red meat crowns, hissing and spitting out their tongues. It was obvious that they were not easy to provoke. Yun Shilian whispered to Yun Chuzhou, "This is a fiery red crown snake. Although its spiritual power is only at level 49, which is equivalent to a cultivator at level 3 to 4 of the spiritual fantasy realm, it is highly poisonous. Moreover, it is a demon beast that lives in groups and is very difficult to deal with. Later, you can just watch from the back to avoid hurting you." "What if you are poisoned?" Yun Chuzhou asked curiously. "We all have the antidote on us. However, even if we take the antidote, we will lose more than half of our spiritual power. Basically, we won't be able to fight anymore, so we must not let it bite us," Yun Shilian said. Yun Shilian handed Yun Chuzhou a porcelain bottle. "The antidote to the fiery red crown snake is inside the bottle. Keep it well. If you get bitten, take one immediately." Yun Chuzhou nodded. No matter what Yun Zilian's motive was, at least they were allies now. It was not bad for them to be on good terms for the time being. Soon, Yun Jifeng and the others started fighting with the fiery red crown snake. Hei Xinzhou naturally would not rush up foolishly. She hid far away and observed the situation in front of her. This guy thought to himself, no wonder they were using the family as a unit. There were more than a dozen fiery red crown snakes on this fiery tree. If there were fewer people, there would be no way to deal with them. Yun Chuzhou pondered for a moment. According to Yun Shilian, the fiery red crown snake was equivalent to a human's 3rd to 4th level spirit illusion. Looking at the situation, Yun Jifeng and the other spiritual power levels should be around the 3rd to 5th level spirit illusion. In comparison, she was indeed very weak. Yun Chuzhou also discovered that Yun Jifeng and the others used their spiritual power to attack and did not release their spiritual beasts. What was the reason? Wouldn't it be more convenient to release their spiritual beasts? Moreover, they could avoid being poisoned. Were they stupid? However, Yun Chuzhou knew that she was new here and did not know many things. There must be some other reasons. Hei Xinzhou felt that it was not good for her to just stand there. If she did not put in any effort, she would be too embarrassed to share the fiery fruits later. Therefore, this guy stretched his neck and shouted, "Brothers and sisters, do your best. I will support you spiritually. Go. Yes. Hurry up. Kill one and you will lose one. Hurry up. Otherwise, the other families will harvest more than us. Put in more effort." Yun Shi Luo and the others were so angry that they gritted their teeth. This damn country bumpkin. She was light-footed, standing there without putting in any effort. It was really hateful. However, now was obviously not the time to care about these things. After an hour, the Yun family finally killed all the fiery red crown snakes on this fiery fruit tree. Everyone impatiently began to pick the fiery fruit. Hei Xinzhou shamelessly went up to pick the fruit as well. Seeing that no one objected, this fellow could not help but feel happy. It seemed that it was not bad to make up the numbers. Unexpectedly, after all the fruits on the tree had been picked, Yun Jifeng said, "Everyone, hand over the fiery fruits to me. I will preserve them all." As Yun Jifeng spoke, he took out a bamboo basket. Everyone put the fruits in it. He Xinjiu also put the fruits in the bamboo basket, but this fellow secretly left too. This guy thought that since there was no specific number of the fruits, no one would know that she left too. Unexpectedly, Yun Shi Luo said with a sneer, "Yun Chujiu, I clearly saw you pick 8 fruits, why did you only give me 6? Wasn't it embarrassing to be found out by others?" If it were an ordinary person, they would have long found a hole to hide in. However, He Xinjiu obviously did not know what integrity was. She said with a smile, "Sister Shi Luo, you really have sharp eyes. I did leave 2 fruits. Because I have never seen the fiery fruits before, I plan to observe them carefully." Yun 11 Luo snorted coldly, "Don't tell me you want to hide these fruits and sell them. I'll tell you the truth. Selling the fiery fruits privately in the Dongfeng Kingdom is a capital offense. Just give up on that idea. Heaven and earth, how would I dare to have such an idea? I'm really just curious." Yun Chujiu held back her saliva and put the 2 fiery fruits into the bamboo basket. He Xinjiu watched Yun Jifeng put the bamboo basket into his storage ring and sighed in her heart. Sigh, she couldn't be blamed for this. She didn't put in any effort, so it seemed a little shameless to steal the fruits. Xiao Hanio couldn't help but roll his eyes. "Have you done enough shameless things? Now you have a conscience. I really want to eat the fruit, why is it broken?" He Xinjiu had been caught by Yun Shi Luo and the others for stealing the fruit, so she was naturally mocked and ridiculed. This guy was thick-skinned and pretended not to hear it. This guy was thinking in his heart, "How can I get some fruit to taste?" These people were guarding against her as if she was a thief. They did not even need her to pick the fruit. Now, she could not even touch it, let alone eat it. Yun Shilian saw her sighing and said, "Little Jiu, what's wrong?" Yun Chujiu obviously would not say that she was greedy for the fruit. Instead, she shamelessly said, "Eighth sister, all of you can contribute to the Yun family. I'm just a glutton. I feel a little guilty." Yun Shilua pouted and said, "At least you still have some conscience. If you don't cause trouble for us, we will be burning incense." Yun Chujiu didn't say anything. Who asked this fellow to be in the wrong? Seeing that Yun Chujiu didn't say anything, Yun Shiluo felt that it was meaningless. It was like a heavy punch hitting cotton. She felt embarrassed. As the Divine Phoenix Valley was open for a total of 9 days, the members of the Yun family found a cave to rest in the evening. After eating some dry rations, Yun Jifeng and Princess Shiyu discussed the arrangements for the night shift. After the announcement, everyone began to rest. Xiao Hanio mumbled in the spirit beast pouch as if he was reciting scriptures, "I want to eat the fiery fruit. I want to eat the fiery fruit. I want to eat the fiery fruit. Damn it, shut up. Do you think I don't want to eat it?" But the snake was killed by someone else, and the fruit was picked by someone else. "What can I do?" He Xinjiu said fiercely. Xiao Hanio blinked its green bean-like eyes and said, "Master, although the spiritual power of the fiery red-crowned snake is higher than yours, you are not afraid of poison. Let's act alone. I guarantee that we can eat until we are full." He Xinjia's heart moved, but she thought about it and realized that it was impossible. Although she was not afraid of the fiery red-crowned snake, there were other demonic beasts in the Divine Phoenix Valley. Any one of them could kill her, so she could not take the risk just for a mouthful of food, that would be too stupid. Yun Chujiu shared her thoughts. Xiao Hanio drooped its head and did not say a word. It recalled the incident with the Nirvana Pearl. Last time, Di Baiming, that jinx, almost killed it. If the fiery fruit really put the little girl in danger this time, when that jinx came out, it would definitely be killed. In the next few days, Yun Chujiu could do nothing but shout for support. However, she did not do anything to slow it down. Yun Shi Luo and the others directly ignored her and did not find trouble with her. On this day, the people of the Yun family heard the sounds of fighting from afar. They also heard the crown prince's cry for help. Help! Help! Come quickly! The people of the Yun family took a closer look. There were a few corpses on the ground. The crown prince and a few guards were fighting with a huge monster. The crown prince and the 4 princes were allowed to bring 10 guards each, but each guard's spiritual power level had to be below the 5th layer of the illusionary realm. The number of fiery fruits at the end was also a symbol of strength. Therefore, the crown prince and the princes were secretly competing with each other. Yun Jifeng cried out in surprise, "It's actually a level 52 red mandrill. How can there be such a high-level demon beast in the Divine Phoenix Valley?" The crown prince, Ling Tianche, shouted in exasperation, "Why aren't you guys coming to save me? What nonsense are you spouting?" Yun Jifeng finally came to his senses and quickly ordered the members of the Yun family to come forward and help. The faces of the members of the Yun family were solemn. A level 52 Qi Mang was equivalent to a cultivator in the 9th layer of the spiritual illusion realm. Even if all of them were added together, they might not be a match for it. However, they had to save the crown prince. Otherwise, they would be exterminated if they went out. The only hope they had now was that other families would come over. This way, they might be able to force Qi Xiao to retreat. Hei Xinjiu could not be of much help. She climbed up a crooked tree and craned her neck to look around. Unfortunately, there was no one in sight. It seemed that there would be no reinforcements for a while. Yun Chuzhou did not know much about the demonic beasts of the towering sky continent, so she did not know what weaknesses the Qi Xiao had. She could only stretch her neck and shout, "You guys should attack its weakness instead. It's a waste of spiritual energy to attack it randomly." Yun Shilua shouted unhappily, "What do you know? If we knew its weakness, how could we not attack it?" Yun Chuzhou pouted. The weakness of a demon beast is nothing more than its eyes, its back, and its courtyard. Why don't you just attack these 2 areas? You're so stupid. Everyone was furious. You're still making sarcastic remarks without helping us. How hateful. However, when they thought about what she said, it made sense. Therefore, the focus of everyone's attack was on Qi Xiao's eyes, its back, and its courtyard. They didn't know if it was a lucky hit, but Qi Xiao seemed to be very afraid of these 2 places, and slowly fell into a disadvantage. Qi Xiao glared fiercely at Hei Xinjiu who was on the crooked tree. This damn girl was really hateful. Even if it couldn't eat others today, it would eat her to vent its anger. Therefore, when Qi Xiao saw that it was no match for her, it suddenly kicked its back leg and broke the crooked tree with a claw. It carried Hei Xinjiu and disappeared with a whoosh. Yun Jichen cried out in surprise, "Little Jiu." Just as Yun Jichen and Yun Shilian were about to chase after Qi Xiao, Princess Shiyu said sorrowfully and helplessly, "I'm afraid that little Jiu has already been eaten by Qi Xiao. If we go, it will be a waste of our lives. Moreover, more than half of the Crown Prince's guards are dead and injured. Protecting the Crown Prince is more important. But, are we just going to watch as Qi Xiao is captured by Qi Xiao? Are we just going to let him die? What if Qi Xiao isn't dead?" Yun Shilian said with slightly red eyes. Although they had only been together for a few days, she still sincerely treated Yun Chuzhou as her younger sister and doted on her. Princess Shiyu avoided Yun Zilian's eyes and looked at the Crown Prince, Ling Tianche. Ling Tianche naturally did not want to look for Yun Chuzhou. Putting aside whether it was worth saving that country bumpkin, just for the sake of safety, he also did not want to face that Qi Xiao again. Therefore, he was very satisfied with Princess Shiyu's words just now. As expected of the woman he valued, they were indeed on the same side. Seeing that Princess Shiyu did not look at her, Yun Shilian looked at Yun Jifeng. After all, Yun Jifeng was the one who kept his word. He would not leave her to die. Who would have thought that Yun Jifeng would frown? Shiyu is right. Little Jiu is basically dead. Since that's the case, we naturally put the safety of the Crown Prince first. Yun Shilian then looked at Yun Shilian and the others. Everyone avoided her gaze. Clearly, they did not intend to save Yun Chujio. Yun Shilian could only look at her brother, Yun Jichen. At this moment, Yun Ziken's heart was very conflicted. He naturally wanted to save Yun Chujio. Whether it was family ties or partners, he did not want Yun Chujio to lose her life. However, the current situation was obvious. Whether it was the Crown Prince or Yun Jifeng and the others, they did not want to save Yun Chujio. Just him and Yun Shilian alone would not be able to save Yun Chujio, they might even lose their lives. Yun Jichen could only shake his head at Yun Shilian. Yun Zilian's eyes turned even redder. Could it be that she could only watch them die? At this moment, another group of people came from afar. Yun Jichen saw them and his heart skipped a beat. Perhaps there was a turning point. The person who came was the fifth prince, followed by 10 guards. The fifth prince walked closer and saw the corpses on the ground and the sorry state everyone was in. He asked in puzzlement, "Royal brother, what happened?" The crown prince said snappily, "We encountered a level 52 Qi Shao." What bad luck. The fifth prince was stunned. Qi Shao. Didn't they say that the highest level demon beast in the Divine Phoenix Valley is only level 50? Why would a Qi Shao appear? The crown prince snorted. How would I know? If it wasn't for Shi Yu and the others, I'm afraid that I would be in deep trouble. You wouldn't be hiding somewhere else and deliberately didn't come to save me, would you? The fifth prince had a helpless look on his face. Royal brother, how can you say that? If I had seen it, I wouldn't have left it to die. The crown prince snorted and didn't say anything. The fifth prince swept his gaze across the crowd and frowned. He looked at Yun Jichen. Where's your ninth sister? Isn't she with you guys? Yun Jichen had a sorrowful expression on his face. Your Highness, when that crimson mandrill escaped, it took little Nine away. I originally wanted to save her, but, Yun Jichen did not continue. The fifth prince's eyes flashed and he understood the general situation. He clenched his fists. After a moment of silence, he said, which direction did that Qi Shao go? I'll go and take a look. Perhaps ninth miss is still alive due to her great fortune. Yun Shilian immediately said, I know the direction. I'll take you there. The fifth prince nodded. Then I'll have to trouble eighth miss. There's no time to lose. Let's go. Yun Jichen looked troubled. Then, he said to Yun Jifeng, Big brother, I'm worried about Shilian. I'll go and take a look too. Yun Jifeng's face was gloomy. It was obvious that he was very dissatisfied with the actions of Yun Jichen and Yun Shilian. They didn't take him seriously at all and openly disobeyed his orders. He said unhappily, Fifth brother, Shilian, you have to know that our mission is to protect the crown prince and protect the Yun mansion's honor. You know that there's no need to save little Jiu. Why must you insist on doing it? If you go, don't come back to our team. Yun Jichen looked hurt, but he still said, no matter what, I'll go with Shilian to take a look. I'm sorry, big brother. After saying that, Yun Jichen bowed to the crown prince, and then quickly chased after the fifth prince. Princess Shi Yu's eyes flashed, and then she said, Your Highness, you don't have to mind. Fifth brother is usually close to the fifth prince, so it's normal for him to follow. The crown prince's expression instantly darkened. Yun Jichen still had the Prince of Peace's estate behind him, and the fifth prince was planning everything according to his wishes. Unfortunately, although the Prince of Peace's estate was not small, it could not be compared to the Prince of Yun's estate at all, and it could not even be compared to the Yun family army. He really had the wrong plan. After Yun Jichen caught up with the fifth prince and Yun Shilian, he sighed. Your Highness, we said that we were going to save little Nine, but... Sigh. The fifth prince nodded in understanding. I know even if you didn't tell me. Ninth miss is very lucky. I don't think there's really anything wrong. Let's hurry over. The fifth prince and the others chased after Qi Shao. At first, they could still find Qi Shao's footprints, but later, they lost track of him. They searched for 2 whole days, but they still could not find Qi Shao or Yun Chujiu. They felt that Yun Chujiu should not be able to survive. Both the 5th prince and Yun Jichen were very depressed, especially the 5th prince. He had already tested Martial Emperor Sheng's attitude. Not only did Martial Emperor Sheng not stop him from marrying Yun Chujiu, but he also seemed to be very supportive of him, therefore, he was very ambitious. He felt that as long as he married Yun Chujiu and helped Yun Jichen ascend to the position of king of the Yun family army would be in his hands sooner or later. When that time came, the throne would be at his fingertips. As for the king of the Yun's mansion, he would think of ways to disrupt their strength in the future. Without the Yun family army, the king of the Yun's mansion would be nothing. Who would have thought that Yun Chujiu would die just like that? What bad luck! However, the 5th prince quickly adjusted his state of mind. There were still 3 days before the divine Phoenix Valley would close, so it was more important to pick the fiery fruits. Therefore, the 5th prince and the others stopped looking for Qi Shao and began to pick the fiery fruits wholeheartedly. Yun Jichen was naturally tactful. He and Yun Shilian handed the fiery fruits they picked to the 5th prince. Anyway, Yun Jichen had already expelled them from the Yun family's team, so they did not have to worry about anything anymore. Suddenly, the 5th prince and the others were surprised to find that the demon beasts in the Divine Phoenix Valley were running toward the Divine Phoenix Valley like crazy. When these demon beasts passed by the 5th prince and the others, they didn't even pause, as if they didn't see them. At the same time, the 5th prince and the others saw the flames rising in the distance, which were hundreds of feet high. Nirvana Pearl. The Nirvana Pearl must have appeared. The 5th prince suddenly said with surprise and joy. The 5th prince was overjoyed. Not only did the Nirvana Pearl have great benefits for the cultivation of fire-type demonic beasts, but it was also very beneficial for the cultivation of fire-type spiritual roots. This was simply a great good thing. If he received it and gave it to his father, he would definitely be able to win his father's favor. This would be a great help for him to ascend to the position of crown prince. When the 5th prince thought of this, he hurriedly said, "Let's hurry over to prevent others from getting there first." Yun Jichen frowned and said, "Your Highness, although the Nirvana Pearl is precious, you have also seen it. Almost all the fire-type demonic beasts in the Divine Phoenix Valley have run over. When that time comes, it will definitely be a chaotic battle. Is it worth taking this risk?" The 5th prince's excited mood immediately calmed down. Not only were these demonic beasts difficult to deal with, but the crown prince would probably also go over. When that time came, if he were to threaten him not to fight with him for the Nirvana Pearl, there was nothing he could do. When the 5th prince thought of this, he immediately lost his previous excitement. However, he still said, "It's good for us to go over and watch the show. At most, we'll be at the periphery of the demonic beasts. If the situation is not good, we'll just retreat. Perhaps we'll be able to see the scarlet mandrill there." Yun Jichen nodded. "Then we should also stay further away. Since the scarlet mandrill has appeared here, there might be other high-level demonic beasts." The 5th prince nodded, and everyone rushed toward the place where the flames were rising. Most of the people in the East Phoenix country had fire spirit roots. Although many people knew that the Nirvana Pearl would not fall into their hands, they still ran towards the place where the flames rose. On the way, the 5th prince and the others met the crown prince and princess Shiyu. The crown prince saw that Yun Chujiu was not in the team. He could not help but say coldly, "5th brother, how is it? I told you that Yun Chujiu would not survive, right? You still insisted on saving her. You didn't manage to save her, did you?" The 5th prince shook his head helplessly. "We didn't even discover that Qi Shao, let alone Miss Jiu." The crown prince glanced at the 5th prince and said, "The Nirvana Pearl should have appeared in front of us. This Nirvana Pearl belongs to me. Don't think of anything." The 5th prince smiled bitterly again. "Royal brother, you're worrying too much. How would we dare to snatch it from you? It's just that the demon beasts of the divine Phoenix Valley have all come over. You should be thinking about how to snatch the Nirvana Pearl from the hands of those demon beasts. The Crown Prince clearly did not consider the demon beasts. Hearing the fifth prince's words, his expression immediately became very ugly. If the demon beasts of the divine Phoenix Valley were all gathered there, he would not be able to obtain the Nirvana Pearl at all. He could only look at the pearl and sigh. When everyone arrived at the place where the flames were rising, they discovered that it was already filled with demonic beasts. Moreover, there was no lack of high-level demonic beasts. The Crown Prince's heart immediately turned cold. Forget about snatching the Nirvana Pearl, they did not dare to get too close. It seemed that the divine Phoenix Valley had always had high-level demonic beasts. They only did not come out normally. This time, the Nirvana Pearl appeared, so they all came out. This could also explain why they met that Qi Shao. The senses of demon beasts were much stronger than that of humans. The Qi Shao probably sensed that the Nirvana Pearl was about to appear, so it came out from the depths of the divine Phoenix Valley. When everyone was looking around, they saw a huge creature running over from another direction. It was the Qi Shao that had attacked them previously. However, what was that thing on the back of Qi Shao? Everyone rubbed their eyes and looked closely. They saw a little girl sitting on the back of Qi Shao. There seemed to be something hidden in her sleeves. She was eating leisurely. Yes, it's that country bumpkin, Yun Chujiu. She's not dead. Yun Shi Luo exclaimed loudly. Everyone looked at Yun Chujiu, who was on Qi Shao's back, in shock. Not only was Yun Chujiu not eaten by Qi Shao, but she was riding on Qi Shao's back instead. How was this possible? Was that Qi Shao stupid? Princess Shi Yu's eyes flashed with a trace of disappointment. She was not dead even like this. This bitch was really lucky. She thought for a moment and shouted, "Little Jiu, you're still alive. That's great. Come quickly, it's dangerous inside." Yun Chujiu turned to look at her and said faintly, "Sister Shiyu, I was eaten by Qi Shao a long time ago. I'm a ghost now. I died so miserably. I was eaten by Qi Shao until only my bones were left. Sister Shiyu, I've always treated your sisters so badly, but you actually didn't save me. I'll go and have a good chat with you tonight." Princess Shiyu was so frightened that she staggered. If Yun Shi Luo and Yun Shi Yen hadn't held her up, she would have fallen to the ground. However, Yun Shi Luo and Yun Shi Yen were also slightly trembling. They had also left her in the lurch just now. Could that country bumpkin have gone to look for them tonight? Yun Chujiu glanced at the crowd again, then turned her head and sat on Qi Shao's back as she entered the crowd of demon beasts. The surrounding demon beasts were all low level, so they naturally didn't dare to stop Qi Shao. They let Qi Shao walk all the way to the innermost part of the crowd. The deeper they went, the higher the level of the demon beasts. However, as the divine Phoenix Valley was closed, the highest level of the demon beasts was level 52 like Qi Shao. When the demon beasts saw Yun Chujiu on Qi Shao's back, they were all dumbfounded. Was this Qi Shao's brain damaged? Why was she carrying a human girl? And the fruit that the little human girl was chewing seemed to taste like fiery fruits. Weren't humans very precious in these fruits? Weren't they reluctant to eat them? Big fatty, put me down. I'll roast meat for you to eat. Yun Chujiu threw the core of the fruit into the pit and said to Qi Shao. Big fatty. Those high-level demonic beasts were stunned at first, then they laughed until they fell back. This name was really too outdated. Qi Shao's face was already red, and now it was even redder. It gritted its teeth. It didn't want to do this, alright? Qi Shao recalled the experiences of the past 2 days and wanted to cry. If it knew that this wretched girl was a pervert, it wouldn't have captured her at that time. 2 days ago, He Xinjiu had been cheering from the crooked tree. She had never dreamed that Qi Shao would suddenly attack her. By the time she reacted, Qi Shao had already grabbed her clothes and was running wildly. He Xinjia's heart was like a beeping dog. Why did this damn Qi Shao attack her? Was it picking on the weak? Qi Shao wanted to eat Yun Chujiu, but it was afraid that the crown prince and the others would chase after it, so it ran all the way until it reached its nest. It then threw Yun Chujiu on the ground and prepared to have a good meal. It was not worried that Yun Chujiu would run away. Such a weak chicken could not escape from its palm. Yun Chujiu tried to fool Qi Shao, but Qi Shao did not buy it. He Xinjiu put her hands on her hips. Ugly monster, do you think I'm afraid of you? I gave you a chance just now. Since you don't cherish it, don't blame me for being rude. Qi Shao let out a strange laugh. This human girl was most likely scared silly by it. Was she the only one who was rude to it? She wasn't afraid of losing her tongue. Yun Chujiu's eyes deepened. She could use this mandrill to test her puppet. Even if she couldn't win, there was enough time for her to escape. Therefore, Yun Chujiu raised her hand and puppet number 1 was released. Number 1, go and kill it. He Xinjiu said coldly. Qi Shao took a step back in shock and then curled his lips in disdain. So it was such a thing. Although it looked sturdy, this thing was extremely stupid and was not its match. Qi Shao's disdain quickly turned into surprise. He did not expect this broken thing to be surprisingly agile. The worst thing was that this broken thing was very sturdy and Qi Shao's damage to it was extremely limited. However, Qi Shao knew that the puppet's weakness was its abdomen. Thus, he desperately attacked puppet number 1's abdomen. Puppet number 1 could only protect its abdomen to prevent Qi Shao from destroying its puppet disc and gradually falling into a disadvantageous position. Qi Shao was very proud. No matter how powerful this thing was, it was still a dead object. It was not its match at all. Just as Qi Shao was feeling proud, he heard the little human girl say faintly, "Ugly monster, I did not expect you to be so powerful. Since that's the case, I can only gang up on you." Before Qi Shao could react, another 4 puppets were released. Qi Shao almost fell to the ground. Damn it, how could he bully a beast like this? Qi Shao's heart turned cold at that moment. It could still deal with 1 puppet, but now there were 5 of them. Even if it was exhausted to death, it would not be able to defeat them. The 5 puppets beat Qi Shao up. Just when Qi Shao thought its life was going to be over, He Xinjiu said with a smile, "Ugly monster, let's establish a temporary contract. You take me to pick the fiery fruits. When I get out, I'll let you go. I won't force you. It's your choice. You can either die or establish a contract with me." Qi Shao almost fainted from anger. How could this not be forced? However, it had no other choice. It could only establish a temporary contract with Yun Chujiu and carry He Xinjiu to the depths of the Divine Phoenix Valley to pick the fiery fruits. As there were few people in the depths of the Divine Phoenix Valley, the fiery fruits were older and the fruits were bigger. He Xinjiu was overjoyed. Yun Chujiu thought that as long as Qi Shao took action, the fiery red-crowned snakes would obediently hand over the fruits. She did not expect that although the fiery red-crowned snakes were afraid of Qi Shao, they would not back down because of their numbers. Therefore, Yun Chujiu started to negotiate with the fiery red-crowned snakes. As long as they gave her 10 fiery fruits, she would leave with Qi Shao. The fiery red-crowned snakes would most likely agree to pay money to avoid disaster. If they didn't agree, He Xinjiu would send 5 puppets out to help Qi Shao deal with the fiery red-crowned snakes. When Qi Shao came back to his senses, Yun Chujiu was already squatting not far from the deep pit and starting to roast meat. The aroma of the roasted meat spread in all directions, causing the demon beasts to drool. Qi Shao immediately felt a little better. In the past 2 days, it had eaten quite a lot of roasted meat from the little girl. Let these country bumpkins be envious and jealous. Yun Chujiu finished roasting half a fan of mutton and started to eat happily with Qi Shao. As she ate, she said, "TSK TSK, big fatty, my roasted meat is not bad, right? It's charred on the outside and tender on the inside. It's sizzling and oozing oil. It's simply the best delicacy in the world. Qi Shao was eating happily. His big head nodded. No matter what, this smelly girl's roasting skills were pretty good. The other high-level demon beasts were all drooling. They wanted nothing more than to snatch a piece and have a taste. Yun Chuzhou was almost done eating. She glanced at the high-level demon beasts who were eyeing her covetously and said, "Do you guys want to eat roasted meat?" Although those high-level demonic beasts really wanted to eat it, they all pretended to be pretentious and didn't say anything. They felt that lowering their heads just for a mouthful of food was a disgrace to the demeanor of the demonic beasts. They were much more moral than that Qi Shao. Yun Chuzhou sighed, "I originally wanted to roast some for you guys. Since you guys don't like it, then forget it." Those high-level demonic beasts were so regretful that their intestines turned green. If they had known this would happen, they wouldn't have had any moral integrity. At this moment, Yun Chuzhou said, "Forget it, I'm the kindest person. I'll roast some for you. However, you can't eat it for free. You have to give something in exchange. High-level medicinal herbs or fiery fruits are fine." The high-level demonic beasts hurriedly took out their items. Black-hearted Jiu kept them all into his storage ring and helped the demonic beasts roast the meat. When the crowd outside saw this scene, they felt as if they were in a dream. How could a human make a deal with a demon beast? That country bumpkin traded a few pieces of broken roasted meat for a pile of high-level herbs and fiery fruits. How could they not have gotten more than what she got even if they were to fight to the death? This was fucking ridiculous. The fifth prince looked at Yun Chuzhou with a burning gaze. This Yun Chuzhou must be extraordinary, or else she wouldn't have subdued Qi Shao. After they left the divine Phoenix Valley, he would issue an imperial decree to marry his father. At that time, she could only obediently marry him. Princess Shiyu glanced at the fifth prince's infatuated gaze and secretly hated him. That damned slut. Not only was she not bitten to death by Qi Shao, but she had also gotten a great bargain. How hateful. Could those demonic beasts have been reincarnated as hungry ghosts? Wasn't it just a few pieces of broken roasted meat? Was there a need to be so greedy? A bunch of idiots. Right at this moment, she heard Yun Chuzhou cry out in surprise. Then, she fell into the deep pit and was instantly engulfed by the raging fire. Princess Shiyu was first shocked, then delighted. However, her expression was one of shock and grief. What exactly is going on? Yun Zhichen sighed. It seems that when those high-level demonic beasts were fighting over the roasted meat, they accidentally bumped into little Jiu into the fire pit. Yun Jifeng snorted coldly. She brought this upon herself. Just now, Shiyu asked her to come over, but she insisted on going inside. She could only blame herself if she lost her life. When the surrounding people heard Yun Jifeng's words, they all felt that this Crown Prince Yun was a little too cold and heartless. His cousin had died, but he was not sad, but instead ridiculed her. He was really cold-blooded. However, when everyone thought of Yun Chuzhou's awkward situation in the Yun mansion, they felt relieved. No one in the Yun mansion would care about Yun Chuzhou's life or death. The fifth prince's eyes were red. Of course, he was not sad for Yun Chuzhou, but because his bright future had been destroyed once again. Just as everyone was thinking about it, they were surprised to find that the fire in the fire pit had started to weaken. Could it be that the Nirvana Pearl was about to appear? The high-level demonic beasts widened their eyes and prepared to fight for the Nirvana Pearl as soon as possible. Finally, the fire was extinguished. However, there were no Nirvana Pearls at the bottom of the pit. Instead, there was a little girl looking at them with a smile. The little girl was holding a shovel with a red bead on it. The shovel was melting at a speed visible to the naked eye. The little girl said curiously, "What kind of bead is this? It's actually so hot. Take it and play with it." As Hei Xinjiu said that, she threw the spade and the bead far away with all her might. Immediately, all the high-level demon beasts ran toward the bead. Qi Shao was about to fight for the bead when he heard Hei Xinjiu cursing in his spiritual sense, you dumbass. Hurry up and take me away, or we will both die. Qi Xiao did not understand, but when Yun Chujiu jumped onto its back, it still jumped out at the fastest speed in its life. He Xinjiu shouted angrily, damn fatty. Are you in a hurry to pee? Why are you running? Qi Xiao gritted its teeth in anger, but it did not dare to disobey Yun Chujiu's order. It brought her along and ran. The high-level beasts were all fighting for the red bead. The low-level beasts did not dare to stop Qi Xiao, so Qi Xiao quickly disappeared into the depths of the Divine Phoenix Valley. After running for a distance, Yun Chujiu could not wait to throw Xiao Hanyo on the ground. Qi Xiao was stunned. What the hell was this fat ball-like bird? Xiao Hanyo quickly turned into a fireball. Fortunately, with the previous experience, it began to roll around on the ground. Wherever Xiao Hanyo rolled, all the grass and trees were instantly turned into ashes. Qi Xiao was so scared that he almost fell to the ground. Could this be the fire of nirvana? Qi Xiao suddenly had a flash of inspiration. Could it be that what the little girl threw out was not the nirvana bead, but the real nirvana bead was swallowed by this fat bird? Qi Xiao was shocked and despised in his heart. These two pets were most likely idiots. Could this nirvana pearl be casually swallowed? High-level fire-type demon beasts like them would find it very difficult to endure after swallowing the nirvana pearl, not to mention this level 1 fat bird. It was simply courting death. However, this fat bird was quite resistant. Why was it not burnt to ashes after such a long time? Qi Xiao's eyes lit up. If this fat bird was burned to death, would the nirvana pearl be able to belong to it? If it really couldn't, even if it had to compromise and accept this little girl as its master, it would still be fine. After all, the nirvana pearl was a treasure that might not be found even in 10,000 years. When Qi Xiao thought of this, he began to hope that the little black bird would be burned to ashes as soon as possible. This way, he would be able to take advantage of it. Who would have thought that Xiao Hanyo would roll around and suddenly become bigger? Her originally round body had become a graceful arc. Although her body was still covered in black feathers, there was an indescribable brilliance and splendor about her. There was also a sense of nobility that looked down on the world. Xiao Hanyo raised her neck and let out a loud cry towards the sky. Clang, 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 the phoenix flew and clang 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 clang. Fuck! This fat bird was actually a phoenix. Qi Xiao immediately knelt on the ground trembling. Oh God! It was actually a divine phoenix. No wonder this little girl was so abnormal. So it was the master of the divine phoenix. A trace of doubt flashed through Qi Xiao's mind. It was said that the divine phoenix of the Divine Phoenix Valley was a 5-colored phoenix. Why was it only black? Forget it. Regardless of whether it was a 5-colored phoenix or a black phoenix, they were all phoenixes. It was fine as long as it submitted. The demonic beasts and demonic birds in the Divine Phoenix Valley felt a huge pressure. Xiao Hanyo's noble bloodline had an absolute suppression on them. All the demonic beasts and demonic birds prostrated on the ground, trembling as they bowed and submitted. It was not only the demonic beasts of the Divine Phoenix Valley who were like this. At the same time, almost all the demonic beasts in the entire towering sky continent knelt and bowed in the direction of the Divine Phoenix Valley at the same time. The ancient godly beasts were the gods of the demon beasts in the world. This kind of reverence flowed in their blood. They had no other choice but to kneel and submit. He Xinjiu touched her chin. This kind of scene seemed familiar. At this time, Xiao He was indeed quite awesome. However, it could only last for a moment. How could she escape later? She had to think of a way to escape. Otherwise, not only those demon beasts, the crown prince and the rest would not let her go either. He Xinjiu blinked her eyes and looked around. Then, she walked to the underbrush that had not been burned. She took out a red-feathered peacock egg from the Great Void Mystic Realm and cracked it. She placed the cracked side of the egg on the underbrush. Hei Shinjo took out a few feathers and placed them on the egg. When she was teleported to the Dark Continent, she fell into a large bird nest. When she left, she took some feathers. She did not know what kind of demonic bird it was likely that the people from the towering Sky Continent had never seen it before. It was a good opportunity to trick them. Qi Xiao looked at Yun Chujia's actions with a dumbfounded expression. What was she trying to do? At this moment, Xiao Hanyo returned to its original appearance. To be exact, its body had gained another round of weight. It was more like a ball now. Yun Chuzhou did not need to ask to know that this fellow had finished acting cool. She ignored Xiao Hanyo's fawning look and put it into her storage ring. Then, she gave Qi Xiao a few instructions. Qi Xiao's huge eyes were wide open. This fellow was too mean. However, would this work? Yun Chuzhou did not care what it thought. She walked to the grass that was not affected and lay down on the ground, pretending to be dead. Qi Xiao was stunned for a moment. When he felt the ground shaking, he quickly ran to Yun Chujia's side and lay on the ground, pretending to be dead. A moment later, some high-level demon beasts ran over. The Crown Prince and the others followed from afar. They were extremely excited. That huge pressure just now should have been released by the Divine Phoenix. Could it be that the Divine Phoenix had appeared? Or could it be that a little Divine Phoenix had appeared? However, even if they wished they could run over and take a look, they could only watch from a distance due to the pressure of those high-level demonic beasts. When those high-level demonic beasts came close, Qi Xiao slowly woke up and used his claws to pull Hei Shinjo. He thought to himself, it's about time. Did he really fall asleep? Hei Shinjo rubbed her eyes and jumped up immediately. She pointed at the scorched grassland in the distance and exclaimed, Phoenix. I saw a phoenix just now. Why is it gone? Qi Xiao's eyes twitched for a moment, and then he revealed a dazed expression. He cried out a few times to show his surprise and confusion. Seeing this, the high-level demon beasts roared at Qi Xiao and Hei Shinjo. Their intention was self-evident. They wanted Qi Xiao and Hei Shinjo to tell them what had happened. They fought for the red bead for a long time. Later, they found out that it was just a broken stone. They were so angry that they almost died. Yun Chuzhou looked puzzled. Big Fatty told me that when you were fighting for the bead, it suddenly needed to pee. It was a decent beast. Naturally, it was embarrassed to do that in public. So, it carried me all the way. I didn't expect, when Yun Chuzhou said this, a look of infatuation appeared on her face. I didn't expect that we would actually see the phantom of a divine phoenix there. You guys didn't see it. The divine phoenix looked down at the world with such nobility that it was simply breathtaking. However, the pressure was too strong, so I fainted later on. Big Fatty, you fainted later on too? Qi Xiao nodded with a stiff expression. He was so aggrieved in his heart that he wanted to die. You're the one who was in a hurry to pee. Your entire family needs to pee. The demonic beasts were skeptical. The appearance of the divine phoenix should be real, but how did this little human girl happen to meet it? Yun Chuzhou seemed to have noticed the doubts of the demonic beasts and said proudly, you may not know this, but I'm someone who is favored by the divine phoenix. Back then, when I sacrificed myself to the divine phoenix didn't even have the heart to take my life. I guess this time, it is also to let me see its heroic appearance. Ah, no wonder I felt that something was summoning me, so I threw that bead to you. The demonic beasts were still skeptical. The deep pit just now was obviously the scene of the Nirvana bead appearing in the world, but they could not find it after searching for a long time. No matter how they thought about it, they felt that it was stolen by this little girl. Yun Chuzhou pretended to look into the distance casually and then exclaimed, oh my god. That is the feather of the phoenix. All the demonic beasts looked at the place that Yun Chuzhou pointed at and saw a few huge feathers in the bushes. Those were feathers that they had never seen before. Could they really be the feathers of the phoenix? Immediately, all the demonic beasts pounced towards that place, and all the demonic beasts started to fight again. The demonic beasts fought until the sky was dark. Finally, a few demonic beasts broke out of the encirclement and pounced towards the pile of feathers. After splitting the feathers, they saw the egg. Occasionally missing content, please report errors in time. Phoenix egg. These 3 words flashed through the minds of the few demonic beasts. At the same time, they stretched out their claws to grab the phoenix egg. Not giving in to each other, they naturally started fighting again. At the same time, the high-level demonic beasts behind also rushed forward. When they saw that the phoenix feathers had been divided up by the few demonic beasts, just as they were disappointed, they discovered that there was actually a phoenix egg in the ground. Immediately, as if they had been injected with stimulants, they joined the battle as well. The battle immediately turned dark. Hei Xinjiu jumped onto the back of Qi Shao and watched the show happily. Go ahead, go ahead. The battle was so intense that it would be a shame if the phoenix egg did not break. As Hei Xinjiu expected, the demon beasts were fighting for the phoenix egg when they accidentally broke the phoenix egg and spilled the egg liquid all over the ground. The demon beasts were dazed for a moment before they snatched the remnants of the phoenix egg crazily. Even the wild grass that was stained with the egg liquid was swallowed by them. Hei Xinjiu was secretly happy. The cleaner the egg was, the better it would be. There would be no trace of it at all. As for the feathers, nobody knew them. Even if someone knew them, they would say that the phoenix collected them on its own. How could they blame it on her? Hei Xinjiu tugged at Qi Shao's fur fiercely. Idiot, hurry up and act regretful. If you hadn't fainted, wouldn't the phoenix egg be yours? Qi Shao was furious. However, he didn't dare to disobey. He stomped the ground and roared. He looked like he was going to die anyway. Hei Xinjiu also showed a regretful expression. She sighed and muttered, sigh. If only I didn't faint just now. It's really strange. Why did Phoenix come here to lay eggs? Why didn't she lay eggs in the previous fire pit? When the demon beasts heard Yunchuji's muttering, their hearts trembled. They immediately imagined the truth of the matter. The divine phoenix must have used the fake nirvana pearls to attract their attention and then came here to lay eggs. However, they did not expect Qi Shao to come here. It was also possible that the divine phoenix had deliberately lured the little girl here. After all, the divine phoenix was looking after her and perhaps wanted her to bring the phoenix egg out. If they had come a step later, the little girl might have kept the phoenix egg. Fortunately, they came in time. Although they only got a little residue, they felt that their body was filled with a lot of spiritual power. It was indeed worthy of being the phoenix egg. When those demonic beasts thought of this, they suddenly felt a little proud and began to roar arrogantly. Qi Shao's face showed an angry expression, but in his heart, he cursed. Fuck, a group of idiots. They were fooled by the little girl. Bullshit phoenix egg. That was just an ordinary demonic bird egg. The real little phoenix was in the smelly girl's spiritual beast bag. Hei Xinjiu knew that she had to put on a full show. She was so dejected that she even asked Qi Shao to look around in the bushes. Naturally, there was nothing else. The crown prince and the others watched from afar and guessed the same thing as the demon beasts. Although they were a little surprised that Yunchujiu was not burned to death, they did not take it to heart since she had a criminal record. Hei Xinjiu let out a long sigh. Sigh. I got up early and rushed to the evening fair. I was busy for the whole day and did not make any noise. If I had known this would happen, I would have kept the bead. By the way, which one of you got the bead? It was originally mine. I was out of my mind and threw the bead out because it was too hot. If any of you found it, give it back to me. And give me back my shovel, which I bought for spiritual stones. Qi Shao was completely impressed by Hei Xinji's shamelessness. She was the one who had stolen the Nirvana pearl, and now she was calling thief, asking them to compensate her with the pearl and the broken shovel. When the demonic beasts heard Yun Chujo mention the pearl, they immediately roared angrily. One of them, a single-horned flaming leopard, threw a broken stone in front of Qi Shao. Yun Chujo looked at the small round stone on the ground and was stunned for a moment. Then, she said loudly, "That's not right. What I threw to you was clearly a bright and colorful pearl. How did it become a broken stone now? You are also considered high-level demonic beasts. How could you do such a shameless thing? Give me back my pearl. Where's my shovel?" The demonic beasts were so angry that they almost vomited blood. It was clearly this broken stone, how could there be a pearl? However, it was true. When the little girl threw it to them, it indeed looked like a pearl, and it could even melt such a thick shovel. It was obviously not an ordinary item, so how did it turn into a broken stone? It was really a ghost. They did not know that Hei Shinjo had deliberately wrapped the small stone with the flame produced by the 10,000-year-old fire marrow. It looked like it was flowing with light and vibrant colors. In addition, the eyes of the demonic beasts were red at that time. They would not identify it carefully. They subconsciously thought that it was the Nirvana Pearl. There was another important point. No one had seen the Nirvana Pearl before, so they naturally took it seriously. Hei Shinjo saw that the demonic beasts hadn't moved for a long time, so she immediately snorted coldly, "Forget it. It's my fault for throwing the pearl to you guys. I'm just unlucky. Sigh, I wanted to leave as soon as possible, but there seemed to be a voice calling me. I didn't expect that the phoenix feather would be snatched away by you guys, and the phoenix egg would be eaten by you guys. Doesn't your conscience hurt, big fatty? Let's go. Let's go to the fire pit to take a look. There might be treasures inside." The high-level demon beasts heard Yun Chuji's words and were embarrassed. They made a path for Hei Shinjo to ride over on Qi Shao. Hei Shinjo heaved a sigh of relief. No matter what, she had finally escaped from the encirclement. Even if the demon beasts could react, she would still have a chance to escape. Qi Shao was not that happy. Those idiots might not be able to react in time, but if they reacted in the future, this wretched girl would just leave. Wouldn't she be beaten to death? Yun Chujo rode Qi Shao to the front of the crown prince and the others. She bared her little white teeth at them and said, "Have you seen my beads and shovel?" The crown prince glared at her fiercely. "Even if there is a nirvana bead, it is not yours. I saw that you have obtained quite a number of high-level herbs. Do you have any purple radish flowers in there? If you do, leave them to me." Yun Chujo was so angry that she almost burst into laughter. What was wrong with this Ling Tianche? Why should she leave her herbs to him? Did he really treat her as a dish? Hei Shinjo curled the corners of her lips. How could it be so coincidental that there's not even a single thousand silky purple radish flower? The crown prince could not help but feel a little disappointed. He did not think that Yun Chujo had the guts to lie to him. Princess Shiyu said softly from the side, "Ninth sister, you've just arrived at Towering Sky Continent. How could you possibly know the herbs? Since you don't know them, why did you say that there's not a single thousand silky purple radish flower among the herbs you've obtained? Don't tell me you don't want to give it to His Highness the Crown Prince on purpose." When the Crown Prince heard Princess Shiyu say this, his expression instantly darkened. That's right, this Yun Chujo didn't know any herb at all. She definitely didn't want to give the herb to him. Crown Prince Ling Tianche stared at Yun Chujo gloomily. "Hand over all the medicinal herbs and I will search for the 1,000 silk purple radish flower myself." Yun Chujo sneered in her heart. She had seen shameless people before, but this was the first time she had seen such a shameless person. She curled the corners of her lips. "Sister Shiyu, I don't know the 1,000 silk purple radish flower, but Big Fatty does. He told me that there is no 1,000 silk purple radish flower among my medicinal herbs. It's a level 52 demon beast. It can't be that it doesn't even know the 1,000 silky purple radish flowers, right?" Qi Shao fiercely roared at the crown prince and the others, cursing in his heart. "Fuck, If it weren't for these people, it wouldn't have fallen into the hands of the smelly girl. These people deserve to die. Qi Shao's pressure caused the crown prince and the others to involuntarily take a few steps back. Only then did everyone remember that this country bumpkin was no longer the same as before. She had actually contracted with the level 52 Qi Shao. Although Qi Shao was not considered an impressive demonic beast in the towering sky continent, it was still more than enough to deal with them. Therefore, everyone felt a little more fearful. The crown prince clenched his fists and said coldly, "Since there is no thousand threads purple radish flower, then what about phoenix tail red flame grass? No. Bell orchid kite? No. Thousand crane flower? No." The crown prince listed more than 10 kinds of herbs in one breath. He Xinjiu only had one answer, and that was no. The crown prince gnashed his teeth and said, "Then what do you have? Whatever herbs you have, I want them. Give them to me." Yun Chujiu curled the corners of her lips and took out a bunch of wheat-based herbs from her storage ring. "Your Highness, I only have this kind of herb here. It is said that it is very effective in curing the heart of an emergency. Since you want it, I will give it to you." The crown prince angrily threw the handful of hay grass on the ground. "Yun Chujiu, you are courting death. This hay grass is only a yellow-grayed herb. How could those high-level demon beasts give you such a worthless thing? PN0VE1 Crown Prince, you are really interesting. If I didn't give it to you, you would be angry. Now that I have given it to you, you are still angry. Those demon beasts gave me this hay grass. Big fatty, tell him whether it is true or not." Qi Shao roared a few times. This crown prince was simply stupid. He actually dared to go against the master of Divine Phoenix. Wasn't he courting death? The crown prince sneered, "Yun Chujiu, do you think that you can do whatever you want with this Qi Shao? Previously, we had fewer people so we couldn't defeat this Qi Shao. Now that there are so many people here, a mere Qi Shao is no match for us." The crown prince then said to the people behind him, "Yun Chujiu has offended her superior. Capture her. If she resists, kill her without mercy." The people behind the crown prince looked at each other. Should they attack or not? When the crown prince saw that everyone was hesitating, he immediately flew into a rage. "What? Do you all want to rebel too? If anyone disobeys my orders, they can go out and wipe out their families." Those sons of noble families were instantly frightened. They thought to themselves, "If I die, my fellow Daoist will not die." "Yun Chujiu, just admit your bad luck. Who asked you to offend His Highness the Crown Prince?" The fifth prince hurriedly went forward to dissuade him. "Royal brother, ninth miss has just returned to towering sky continent. It's inevitable that she's a little insensible. Please spare her this time." The crown prince glared at the fifth prince viciously. "Fifth brother, don't let me say anything unpleasant. Move aside." The fifth prince clenched his fists. He did not dare to shed all pretenses with the crown prince now. He could only grit his teeth and retreat to the side. It seemed that Yun Chuji's suffering was unavoidable. However, this was also good. In a while, he would think of a way to keep her alive. She would definitely be grateful. When that time came, she might even secretly be in love with him. Yun Shilian looked at Princess Shiyu and pleaded, "Sister Shiyu, please help little Jiu plead with the crown prince." Princess Shiyu nodded and said to Yun Chujiu, "Sister Jiu, quickly hand over all the herbs and kowtow to the crown prince to make amends. The crown prince might spare you." Yun Chujiu looked at Princess Shiyu with ridicule. "Sister Shiyu, I've already handed over all the wheat hay grass, what else do you want me to hand over?" Princess Shiyu's face sank. "Ninth sister, don't be stubborn. The world is so big, it can't be the king's land. The medicinal herbs you pick should be handed over to the crown prince." Yun Chujiu curled the corners of her lips. "Sister Shiyu, you're right. The world is so big, it is indeed the king's land. However, let me remind you that the current emperor's body is still fine. Why is the crown prince so eager to replace him? Princess Shiyu's expression immediately stiffened. The crown prince looked at her unhappily and then said to Yun Chujio, impudent. This is outrageous. Kill her. Although the people behind the crown prince were unwilling, they did not dare to offend the crown prince. They could only rush towards Heishinjo. Stop. The crown prince is confused. Are you also confused? I am the miss of the Yun mansion. What right do you have to attack me? Yun Chujio sat on the back of Qi Shao and said with a sneer. Those noble children were also very helpless. They did not want to attack, but they could not disobey the crown prince's words. They simply wished they could faint. Princess Shiyu looked conflicted. She stomped her feet and said, Ninth sister, don't make mistakes again and again. Hurry up and kowtow and admit your mistake. The crown prince won't really kill you. Yun Chujio looked at Princess Shiyu sarcastically and said indifferently, Sister Shiyu, aren't you tired of acting? Your White Lotus character has already collapsed. What's the point of acting? Although Princess Shiyu had never heard of White Lotus or character design, it did not prevent her from understanding the meaning behind Yun Chujio's words. She said exasperatedly, Ninth sister, you're really too insensible. Since that's the case, I don't care if you're dead or alive. The crown prince said impatiently, what are you still standing there for? Kill her. Just as the fifth prince was debating whether to intervene, Yun Chujio laughed, you want to kill me? Come, I want to see if you dare to kill me. If I die, our Yunwang manor will definitely not spare those who make a move. The emperor will naturally not execute the crown prince. When the time comes, all of you will be scapegoats. Those noble children were instantly caught in a dilemma. The Yunwang manor was not to be trifled with, especially with the old prince and the old consort still alive. If they were to really pursue this matter, they would not be able to get away with it. Just as everyone was in a dilemma. They heard Yun Chujio shout loudly, all of you, come over here. All of you have divided my phoenix feathers and eaten my phoenix eggs. Now is the time for you to compensate me. Come and protect me. I want to see who has no eyes and dares to provoke me. Everyone was stunned to discover that Yun Chujio was actually waving at the high-level demonic beasts in the distance. Everyone was first shocked, then laughed out loud. This Yun Chujio was most likely a fool. Although the demonic beasts didn't hurt her, this didn't mean that the high-level demonic beasts would listen to her. How could they protect her? This was simply impossible. However, when the crowd saw more than a dozen high-level demonic beasts running toward them, they were so frightened that their claws went numb. The crown prince's expression also changed. Those high-level demonic beasts actually listened to this slut. Princess Shiyu said from the side, Your Highness, we still need to pick the fiery fruits first. It's not too late to deal with other matters after we leave the Divine Phoenix Valley. The crown prince knew that Princess Shiyu was giving him a way out. He thought to himself, well, when we return to An City, let's see how he will deal with this bitch. She actually dared to openly oppose him. She was simply courting death. The crown prince glared fiercely at Yun Chujio, then turned around and left. Once the crown prince left, those sons of noble families naturally followed him. The fifth prince hesitated for a moment, but still followed the crown prince. Yun Shilian was dragged by Yun Jiqin and left reluctantly. Yun Chujio looked at the back of the crowd with a faint expression, then turned her head to look at the dozen or so high-level demonic beasts that ran over. These high-level demonic beasts naturally weren't protecting Heishinjo, they just wanted to eat the crown prince and the others. Therefore, the demonic beasts didn't stop and continued to chase ahead. When the crown prince and the others saw the high-level demonic beasts chasing after them, they immediately went into a mess. They screamed and ran forward, and soon, they disappeared without a trace. Yun Chujio curled her lips and said to Qi Shao, Big fatty, let's go. Let's go to the fire pit and see if there are any good things. Yun Chujia's words were naturally for the high-level demonic beasts that were still observing her. She was putting on a show so that they would not be exposed. At this moment, Qi Shao also wished that he could stay away from these high-level demonic beasts. Thus, he carried He Xinjiu and quickly left. After He Xinjiu arrived at the fire pit, not to mention finding the broken shovel, she naturally kept it in her storage ring. Then, she rummaged around and finally left with a sigh. The high-level demonic beasts that followed her dispersed. He Xinjiu heaved a sigh of relief in her heart. It seemed that those demonic beasts had completely believed her words. He Xinjiu counted with her fingers. The Divine Phoenix Valley would close in 2 days. When she left the Divine Phoenix Valley, the Crown Prince and Princess Shiyu would definitely make things difficult for her. She had to think of a way to escape. For the next 2 days, He Xinjiu hid in a cave for peace and quiet. She did not go out to show off. Finally, it was the day when the Divine Phoenix Valley would close. After the Crown Prince left the Divine Phoenix Valley, he waited for Yun Chujiu at the entrance of the valley with a cold expression. These 2 days, he had been chased like a stray dog by those high-level demonic beasts. All of this was caused by that bitch Yun Chujiu. Today, he had to kill her. Yun Zhichen secretly sent a voice transmission talisman to the He Shi, telling her to quickly find the old consort. Other than that, he really couldn't think of any other good ideas. Finally, Yun Chujiu slowly walked out of the Divine Phoenix Valley. Those sons of noble families instantly surrounded Yun Chujiu in the middle. Now, this Yun Chujiu no longer had Qi Shao and those demonic beasts. Let's see how she would continue to show off. The Crown Prince laughed coldly, "Kill this bitch. I will bear all the consequences myself." Those people were just about to make a move when He Xinjiu coldly said, "Your Highness, don't forget how my father got the title of God of War. If the Yun family army finds out that you killed me, do you think you can still hold on to your position as the Crown Prince?" The Crown Prince's expression froze. Although the Yun family army had always been present, their real fame shook the 4 countries because of Yun Fengjin. In the hearts of the Yun family army, Yun Fengjin was like a god. Although this Yun Chujiu was only a little girl and would not do much, if the Yun family army found out that he had killed her, it might really cause some trouble. Just as the Crown Prince was hesitating, the sky suddenly darkened. Large chunks of dark clouds began to gather, and everyone could feel the pressure that filled the sky and earth. It was simply suffocating. He Xinjia's heart was filled with joy and worry. It seemed that the long-awaited heavenly lightning had finally arrived. It was probably because Xiao Hanio had swallowed the Nirvana pearl that the heavenly lightning was attracted, because it was like this last time. She did not know how powerful the heavenly lightning in the towering sky continent was, but she hoped that it was not too strong. She did not want to lose her life just like that. Princess Shiyu knew that the Crown Prince no longer wanted to kill Yun Chujiu. At least, he did not want to kill this bitch in front of everyone. Thus, she said, "Your Highness, I see that the sky is a little strange. Let's hurry back to An City. 9th sister is naughty. When I go back, I will report to grandfather and grandmother. They will definitely punish her severely. Please spare him this time." The Crown Prince was very satisfied with Princess Shiyu's understanding. He said with a stiff face, "All right, for your sake, let her off this time. Let's go back to the city." Everyone followed the Crown Prince and left. After the incident just now, the 5th prince became even more determined to marry Yun Chujiu. He was afraid that other princes would beat him to it, so he smiled at Yun Chujiu and followed. Everyone from the Yun family also left. Only Yun Zhichen and Yun Shilian stayed behind. Yun Chujiu was disgusted by the 5th prince's affectionate smile. This 5th prince was seriously ill. Yun Shilian ran to He Xinjia's side and said happily, "Little Jiu, you're finally fine. That's great. Let's hurry up and leave too." Yun Chujiu smiled and summoned a giant rabbit. "Let's go." Let's have a competition to see if my rabbit is faster or your wildebeest is faster. The corner of Yun Zikin's eyes twitched. This little Jiao was really big-hearted. After such a big incident, she actually had the heart to compete to see whose mount could run faster. However, when he thought of the old princess consort and the others waiting in the divine hall, he reckoned that the crown prince would not dare to do anything to Yun Chuzhou, so he nodded. All right, the sky is so dark. I'm afraid that something bad will happen. It's better to leave quickly. The three of them got on their respective mounts and sped away. The sky was getting darker and the visibility was getting lower and lower. When Yun Zhiqin and Yun Shilian reached the city gate, they realized that Yun Chuzhou was gone. The two of them thought that Yun Chuzhiu's rabbit was running slowly, so they waited for a while, but they still did not see Yun Chuzhou coming over. Rumble. A loud noise startled the two of them, and their wildebeest fell directly to the ground. Yun Zhiqin frowned. Let's go into the city and go to the divine hall first. It seems that something big is going to happen. Yun Shilian stretched her neck and looked into the distance again. Unfortunately, it was dark and she couldn't see anything, so she could only follow Yun Zhiqin into an city. At this moment, He Xinjiu was sitting on a stone by the side of the road, holding her cheeks and trying to think of a way. The heavenly lightning strike just now had struck her body. Her heart immediately turned cold. The heavenly lightning in the towering sky continent was much stronger than the heavenly lightning in the immortal origin continent. She might not be able to withstand it. Could it be that she was killed just like that? He Xinjiu's head was spinning rapidly. There was nowhere to hide. Moreover, she had to avoid everyone so that she would not be regarded as a monster and a jinx. It seemed that she could only make things difficult for Wu Yun. It would be great if she could stop him from hacking for a while. However, how could she do that? Wu Yun in the sky originally thought that when a bolt of lightning struck down, that little weakling would be so frightened that he would run around in a panic. He might even kneel on the ground and cry for mercy. In the end, he was stunned to discover that the little weakling was actually distracted while sitting on the stone. Distracted? Distracted. Damn it. How could he disregard the heavenly lightning like that? I've never heard of anyone being able to be absent-mindedness when struck. It was truly detestable to the extreme. Boom. 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 Wu Yun struck He Xinjiu with more than 10 heavenly lightning bolts consecutively. It felt that He Xinjiu would either be killed or injured after being struck by the heavenly lightning bolts. In the end, it turned out that the huge rock had been reduced to ashes. However, that damned weakling still looked as if she was absent-mindedness. Could she be an idiot? Yes, she must be an idiot. Otherwise, how could she not be afraid of being struck by lightning? Fuck. It was the first time in so many years that she had struck an idiot. What bad luck. He Xinjiu's eyes lit up at this moment. This was the first time she had been struck by lightning in the towering sky continent. Wu Yun might not know how abnormal she was. Perhaps she could deceive the heavens and the sea. This guy took Xiao Hanio out of the spiritual beast bag and looked at Xiao Hanio's plump appearance. He said with disdain, "You idiot. It's because of you that the heavenly lightning was attracted. You can bear it yourself." Xiao Hanio knew that he was in the wrong and said obsequiously, "Master, I'm also trying to cultivate faster. Now, I can use the nirvana fire once in a while. If anyone provokes you, I'll help you burn them to death." Yun Chuzhou curled her lips. What a nice way of saying it. "Hurry up and help me get struck by lightning, Pan, DN0V1, COM. Xiao Hanio flapped its short wings embarrassedly and helped He Xinjiu get struck by lightning. The corner of He Xinjiu's eyes twitched. This guy was getting fatter and fatter, but his pair of short wings were not very long. They were flying unsteadily, and it seemed that they were not as high as the hens. Yun Chuzhou took out Xiao Mogu as well. She fed the two of them first, then she thought of a way to trick the silly cloud in the sky. Wu Yun in the sky was shocked when he saw Xiao Hanio. He knew that the phoenix had appeared, so he came to hack it. But who could tell him that such an ugly fat bird was a phoenix? What a joke! When did the phoenix become so ugly? Wu Yun had not recovered from the shock when he saw the little mushroom next to Xiao Mogu. What the hell was that? 15 minutes later, Xiao Mogu and Xiao Hanyo could not take it anymore, so Hei Xinjiu had to put them into the spirit beast bag. Hei Xinjiu looked up at Wu Yun in the sky with narrowed eyes, then sighed and said, "It's over. It looks like she's going to die today. The heavenly lightning is too powerful." Wu Yun in the sky was dazed. He was not a fool, was he? As long as he knew how powerful she was, he thought to himself. With a few more heavenly lightning strikes, he was sure that the darn girl would be dead. Boom! Boom! The heavenly lightning struck down one after another. Hei Xinjiu screamed miserably, "Ouch! Ouch! I can't move anymore. Fuck! I feel that I'm going to die. I feel that my internal organs are going to explode. I didn't do anything bad either. Am I going to be struck to death just like that? I can't die in peace." At first, Yun Chujia's scream was quite loud. Later on, it became quieter and quieter. In the end, there was no more movement. Wu Yun thought in puzzlement, could it be that she was already struck to death? But that was also true. According to common sense, she should have been struck to death long ago. This wretched girl was already abnormal enough. Wu Yun only saw that the deep pit was filled with black ash. He did not see that smelly girl. Could it be that she had already been hacked into ashes? It sensed again, but did not find any spiritual energy fluctuations. It seemed that she had really been hacked to death. In order to be on the safe side, Wu Yun randomly hacked for a while more before floating away in satisfaction. It was done. As the dark clouds dispersed, a pair of black claws extended out from the soil. Then, Hei Xinjiu crawled out, cough, cough. Cough, cough. Damn it. It's a good thing that I was smart enough to deceive the damn Wang Banyun. Otherwise, it would have been really tough this time. TSK, TSK. Wu Yun of the towering sky continent is really stupid. I'm sure that he will have a lot of fun in the future. Hei Xinjiu was afraid that she would be discovered, so she quickly jumped out of the deep pit. After hiding in a hidden place and using the cleaning spell, she changed into a set of clothes that looked exactly the same. Only then did she ride the giant rabbit and quickly run toward Cheng. At this moment, in the Divine Hall, everyone was kneeling on the ground. As the National Master was reciting the eulogy, they were all praying for the Divine Phoenix to protect them. The National Master's explanation for the heavenly lightning was that the demonic beasts had eaten the phoenix eggs, so Tian Dao was furious. That was why the heavenly lightning descended. At this moment, when everyone saw that the dark clouds had dispersed and everything had returned to normal, they felt that it was all thanks to the eulogy recitation, and they were even more convinced of the National Master. The National Master got everyone to stand up, and then said, "Now, we will start counting the fiery fruits picked by the various families, and then distribute the divine phoenix stones according to the results." The old princess glanced around and realized that there was no Hei Xinjiu in the crowd. Although he sure told the old princess that Yun Chujiu had offended the crown prince, he told her later that the crown prince did not continue to cause trouble for Yun Chujiu. In addition to the sudden change in the situation, the old princess thought that Yun Chujiu had already arrived at the Divine Hall. The old princess' heart sank. Could it be that she was intercepted and killed on the way? Could it be that it was that bastard, the boss, again? The old consort wanted to ask Princess Shi Yu and the others about the situation, but Princess Shi Yu and the others had been called to the other side by the imperial advisor to count the number of fiery fruits. She could only wait anxiously. Zheng Shi also discovered that Yun Chujiu had not returned. She could not help but gloat in her heart. That slut had most likely died outside. That was great. Very quickly, the number of fiery fruits was calculated. In previous years, the number of fiery fruits in King Yun's residence was slightly less than the crown prince and the four princes. It was far ahead of the other nobles. However, this year, it was unexpectedly ranked outside the 20th place. On the other hand, the number of the crown prince far exceeded the other four princes. His expression was quite smug. Yun Fengjian's expression did not change much. He knew what was going on with one guess. Jifeng and Shiyu must have given a large portion of the fiery fruits they picked to the crown prince. He felt that the two of them were doing the right thing. The crown prince was going to ascend the throne in the future, and pleasing the crown prince was more important than anything else. The old prince frowned and sighed in his heart. A bunch of idiots. It was fine if they had given little in the past, but this time, it was so obvious. Did they think the emperor was an idiot? Although the Yun residence did not lack a few divine phoenix stones, how would the other distinguished guests view the Yun residence? Actually, Yun Jifeng and Princess Shiyu did not want to make it so obvious either. However, the crown prince's guards had been killed by the crimson manga previously, so they had no choice but to give more than half of the fiery fruits to the crown prince. Just as the imperial tutor was about to distribute the divine phoenix stone, he heard someone at the door say crisply, "Wait. I still have fiery fruits here." Everyone turned around and saw Yun Chuzhou standing at the door with a smile on her face. The old imperial consort turned around and immediately felt relieved. It was good that little Zhou was fine. The state preceptor's expression didn't change much. He said indifferently, "Since you still have the fiery fruits, hand them over." Hei Xinzhou slowly walked to the state preceptor and glanced at the current ranking. She handed the state preceptor dozens of fiery fruits. After the grand tutor finished counting, he found that the number of fiery fruits in the Yun mansion was ranked 6th, which was below the princes and above the other nobles. The grand tutor's eyes twitched slightly. This Yun Chuzhou was as smart as the old Duke Yun. Seeing that no one had any objections, the grand tutor began to distribute the divine phoenix stone. When Yun Jifeng was about to receive the divine phoenix stone, Hei Xinzhou squeezed in front of him and put the divine phoenix stone into her storage ring. Yun Jifeng's expression immediately darkened, but he did not dare to lose his temper in the divine hall. He glared at Yun Chuzhou with hatred and then left. After the divine phoenix stone was distributed, the imperial preceptor began to preside over the sacrificial ceremony for the divine wind birthday. It was nothing more than a few eulogies, and then he placed the fiery fruits on the altar. From the first layer to the 9th layer, it was filled with fiery fruits. Hei Xinzhou cursed in her heart. What a waste! That so-called divine phoenix was long dead. How could it possibly enjoy these fiery fruits? However, Hei Xinzhou was stunned to discover that the fiery fruits were actually decreasing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Oh my, could it really have been eaten by that divine phoenix? At this moment, the imperial preceptor asked Yun Chuzhou about the phoenix egg again. Hei Xinzhou described it vividly, just like what the others said. The imperial preceptor did not say much and indicated that everyone could leave the divine hall. At this moment, no one expected that the altar would suddenly burst into flames. The phantom of a 5-colored phoenix appeared in it. Everyone was shocked at first, then they knelt on the ground. Even the imperial preceptor, who had always been calm, knelt on the ground. While everyone was pleasantly surprised, they also felt a little uneasy. Could it be that the divine phoenix came to settle the score with them because of the phoenix egg? To be honest, the phoenix egg was eaten by the demonic beasts. This had nothing to do with them. Only Hei Xinzhou was kneeling on the ground, looking at the 5-colored phoenix in the raging fire and marveling. She used her spiritual sense to speak to Xiao Heinio. "Xiao Hei, look at his feathers. This is a real phoenix. Compared to him, you are like an ugly duckling and a white swan." Xiao Heinio was furious. "Master, you have disappointed me. I didn't expect your taste to be so bad. Is this called beauty? This is called vulgarity. My black feather is so luxurious and high class. Can this coquettish bitch compare to me?" Yun Chujia's eyes twitched. Xiao Hei did not learn anything else from her, but his skin was getting thicker. Xiao Heinio ignored the little black bird and stared at the phantom of the phoenix with narrowed eyes. What was this thing trying to do? At this moment, the phantom of the phoenix cried out, "Clang, clang, clang." The imperial tutor and the others were even more reverent. They did not even dare to look at the divine phoenix. They had been lucky enough to see the divine phoenix appear. After the phoenix called out a few times, it spoke in human language, "I am very happy with the 9 daughters of the Yun family. Please come forward quickly." Hei Xinzhou didn't react in the beginning. When everyone's envious and jealous gazes fell on her, she finally reacted. Emma, wasn't she the 9 daughters of the Yun family? If an ordinary person were to receive the divine phoenix's favor, they would be so happy that they would faint. However, this fellow had some doubts in his heart. What did this 5-colored phoenix want her to do? She did not think that the 5-colored phoenix really liked her. She recalled the 9-tailed fox that she had met in the Tian Yuan Academy. The remnant soul of the 9-tailed fox had tried to trick her to possess it. Could this 5-colored phoenix have the same intention? When everyone saw that Yun Chuzhou did not move for a long time, they all thought that she was too excited to know what to do. The old imperial consort said excitedly, "Little Zhou, what are you still standing there for? Hurry up and go over." Yun Chuzhou thought to herself, "Grandmother, do you think this is a good thing? Maybe your granddaughter will die after she goes over." Seeing that Yun Chuzhou still did not move, Saint Martial Emperor could not help but frown. "Yun Chuzhou, hurry up and go over. Do you want to disobey the divine phoenix's orders?" Hei Xinzhou had no choice but to stand up and pretend to be very excited. She trembled slightly and walked forward. However, this fellow walked extremely slowly and was not much faster than a snail. Hei Xinzhou dawdled while thinking of a solution. If the 5-colored phoenix really wanted to possess her, what should she do? According to the degree of superstition of these people, even if they knew that the divine phoenix wanted to possess her, they would most likely willingly offer her up. In their hearts, this divine phoenix was a god. Hei Xinzhou thought again. This 5-colored phoenix probably could not leave the altar. Otherwise, it would have rushed out long ago. As long as she did not go up the altar, she should be fine. Yun Chuzhou finally walked to the front of the altar, but she did not go up the altar. The 5-colored phoenix chirped a few times and said, "You have ascended the altar. I have something to tell you." Yun Chuzhou bared her white teeth and said, "Divine phoenix, if you have something to say, say it now. I am not deaf." The kneeling people shivered. This Yun Chuzhou was really audacious. She dared to talk to the divine phoenix like that. Was she courting death? The 5-colored phoenix was silent for a moment before it said, "I order you to quickly ascend the altar. Otherwise, I will punish you." When the people heard that, they immediately felt numb. The divine phoenix's words were very clear. If Yun Chuzhou did not ascend the altar, all of them would die. Therefore, everyone stared at Hei Xinzhou fiercely. Hei Xinzhou did not doubt that if she did not ascend the altar, these people would throw her onto the altar. Hei Xinzhou could only continue to move forward slowly. While walking, she communicated with the little black bird with her spiritual sense. "Xiao Hei, if this coquettish bitch wants to possess me, what should I do? It's already good enough that those people won't help it. They definitely won't help me. Master, I reckon that if this ugly bird wants to possess you, it won't do so in front of these people. It will definitely bring you to the bottom of the altar. Therefore, when the time comes, why don't you just ask those remnant souls to help you take care of it? Even the 9-tailed fox had been taken care of by you. Why would you be afraid of a coquettish slut?" Xiao Heinio said disdainfully. Actually, Xiao Heinio was very excited right now. "Io, if it were to swallow the remnant soul of this coquettish slut, its strength might soar. It was simply like a pie falling from the sky." Of course, it wasn't a match for the remnant soul of the 5-colored phoenix. It could only hope that if they were to really fight, it would get a share of the spoils. Hei Shinjo still had a trace of hope in her heart. Perhaps this five-colored phoenix had good intentions. Perhaps it was because she was so beautiful that it wanted to give her a few good treasures. Hei Shinjo finally reached the first level of the altar. A trace of treachery flashed in the eyes of the five-colored phoenix. In an instant, it and Yunchujo disappeared. Everyone stared at this scene with their mouths agape. At this moment, the fire on the altar was still burning fiercely, but where did the five-colored phoenix and Yunchujo go? Everyone did not dare to leave, and could only kneel and wait. At this moment, Yunchujo was already in a spacious stone hall. It seemed that this stone hall had existed for many years. In the middle of the stone hall was a stone platform. A huge skeleton was fixed on the stone platform by 6 10,000-year-old black iron chains, and there were many five-colored feathers scattered around the stone platform. This scene was exactly the same as when she met the nine-tailed fox. It seemed that the damn phoenix was really going to possess her. While Hei Shinjo was thinking, she saw the phantom of a five-colored phoenix appear on the skeleton. The five-colored phoenix cried out a few times, then, it said, "I've waited for countless years. Finally, the shell of the heavenly thunder spiritual root has arrived. Little ant, please commit suicide." Yunchujo blinked her eyes and squeezed out a few drops of tears. Oh my god. Is this true? I'm so blessed. It's my honor to be able to contribute my body to the divine phoenix. The five-colored phoenix was obviously shocked by Yunchuji's words. However, thinking about it, these humans were extremely stupid, so it was normal for them to have such thoughts. Therefore, the five-colored phoenix said, "That's good. Kill yourself. Divine Phoenix, before I die, you have to let me die clearly. Why didn't you come out when I sacrificed myself last time? Why did you come out this time?" Hei Shinjo asked curiously. The five-colored phoenix did not hide anything and told her everything. It turned out that the remnant soul of the five-colored phoenix was not enough to keep it awake at all times. Those fiery fruits grew in the divine Phoenix Valley and absorbed the power of nirvana. It was very beneficial for the five-colored phoenix to maintain its soul. Therefore, the five-colored phoenix would only wake up during its birthday every year and absorb the power of nirvana from the fiery fruits. Today, after the five-colored phoenix woke up and heard the thunder, it immediately felt that something was wrong. After seeing Yunchujo, it was overjoyed to find out that she had the heavenly thunder spirit root. That was why it brought her in. "Little ant, you already know the past. Kill yourself." The five-colored phoenix said with some excitement. As long as it successfully possessed, it could escape from the restrictions of the array. "Divine Phoenix, I still don't understand one thing. You are clearly trapped here. How did you appear on the altar? This is too magical." Yunchujo said with admiration. The five-colored phoenix said proudly, "How is this difficult? There is a teleportation array on the stone platform and above. As long as the array is activated, you can teleport." "You are really stupid." Yunchujo nodded and then said with a smile, "Yes, I am very stupid. But, I still seem to be a little smarter than you. You want to possess me? TSK, you are really shameless. Look at your messy hair, it's like rooster feathers, it's so ugly. A coquettish bitch like you is not even worthy to carry the shoes of the Black Phoenix." The five-colored phoenix was stunned at first, and then became angry from embarrassment. "You are talking nonsense. The Black Phoenix has long been dead. I am the only divine phoenix in the world." Xiao Hanyo, who was inside Hei Xinjia's spiritual beast bag, jumped and cursed, "Shameless mongrel chicken. You're the one who's dead. Your whole family is dead. I just can't beat you, or else I'll kill you." Yunchujo, it sounded quite reasonable in the beginning, but in the end. Hei Shinjo glanced at the five-colored phoenix. "Hey, little bitch, are all five-colored phoenixes as shameless as you?" And you call yourselves divine phoenixes? Would divine phoenixes do such a shameless thing as possession? Little bitch. The five-colored phoenix was so angry that its anger almost dissipated. This bitch's words were really too sarcastic. The five-colored phoenix was so angry that it did not care about its words anymore. It said exasperatedly, "What happened to divine phoenixes? If you had been locked up here for tens of thousands of years, you would have also thought of ways to possess them. Black Phoenix and the others were so kind. What happened in the end? TSK, all of them died. Ha, they always thought that they were more noble than other phoenixes. In the end, didn't they all die?" Xiao Hanyo couldn't take it anymore. "Master, let me out. I must scold it to death today." The corner of Yun Chujia's eyes twitched. Looking at it, she wanted to see how it would scold the five-colored phoenix to death. Yun Chujio let Xiao Hanyo out. However, to be on the safe side, she still activated the spiritual energy shield to prevent the five-colored phoenix from suddenly attacking. It would be terrible if it took Xiao Hanyo's house. "You motley chicken. You're the one who's dead. Look at who I am." Xiao Hanyo said arrogantly with one of its short wings on its waist and one of its short wings pointing at the five-colored phoenix. The five-colored phoenix was stunned at first, then it could not help but take a few steps back. You're the black phoenix?" "No, that's impossible. How can the black phoenix be so fat and ugly?" Xiao Hanyo was most afraid of others saying that he was too fat because he was ugly. He pointed at the five-colored phoenix and cursed, "You coquettish bitch. You are the ugly one. You are so ugly that people can't bear to look at you. Pa! How could your five-colored phoenix produce such a shameless bitch like you? You still want to possess me? You are so shameless. If your five-colored phoenix ancestors knew that you are so shameless, they would probably be so angry that all their feathers would fall off." The five-colored phoenix was being scolded by Xiao Hanyo. It wanted to interrupt a few times, but it was rejected by Xiao Hanyo's high-pitched voice. In the end, it was so angry that it cried out. You don't have to stand there and talk. It turns out that you haven't been locked up here for tens of thousands of years. Besides, what did we five-colored phoenix do wrong that we have to be locked up here by humans? This isn't fair. Moreover, the weak are prey to the strong. What's wrong with me? You are the one who has embarrassed the Phoenix clan. As the black phoenix of the Phoenix clan, you actually acknowledged a human as your master. You are simply a cheap bone. You are the fucking cheap one. Your whole family is cheap. What do you know? I signed an equal contract with her, and she treated me as a friend, and even helped me obtain 2 Nirvana pearls. Pan DN0VE1 C MHMPH, I get it. You're jealous that I have such a good master, aren't you? TSK, you're really pitiful. You act all mysterious all day long, and all you can do is cheat some fiery fruits to eat. It perfectly explains a sentence in your body. A phoenix in distress is not as good as a chicken. Aren't you just a motley chicken now? Ha! Xiao Hanyo laughed so hard that he leaned back and forth, and was very proud. The five-colored phoenix cried out a few times in anger, then, it said, "Good, very good. Originally, I wanted to snatch that smelly girl's room. Since you came out to throw your life away, I will snatch your room. At that time, I will be the only black phoenix in the world, ha ha ha." Xiao Hanyo glared at her and cursed, "Shameless. You little chicken, you still want to take my house? Is your filthy soul worthy of my noble body? I'll show you my master's power today. Master, put me away, you go." Hey Shinjo, who would want such a shameless spiritual pet? He sold it for a low-grade spirit stone. The five-colored phoenix was also shocked by Xiao Hanyo's shamelessness. How could the supreme black phoenix of the phoenix family produce such a shameless creature? But it didn't matter. Soon, it was the only black phoenix in the world. The five-colored phoenix was very confident in killing Yun Chujio and Xiao Hanyo. That black phoenix was obviously still a cub and very weak. This little girl was even less worth mentioning. Thinking of this, the five-colored phoenix spat out a fireball at He Xinjiu. It thought that although its nirvana fire was less than 1/10,000th of its peak power, there was no problem in burning this little girl to death. It saw the little girl and said with a smile, "Io, you want to burn me to death? Ha ha ha, come on, I'm a little cold." Was this little girl crazy? However, even after the fire was extinguished, the little girl was still alive and kicking. She was still shouting, "Again! Again! Let the fireballs come more fiercely." The five-colored phoenix was shocked. It comforted itself that this little girl probably had a defensive spiritual artifact on her, and she would not be able to hold on for long. Therefore, the black phoenix kept spitting fireballs, but He Xinjiu was getting more and more lively, and the phantom of the five-colored phoenix was getting fainter and fainter. The five-colored phoenix was about to cry. How could there be a monster that could not be burned to death in this world? The five-colored phoenix had no choice but to give up on fire attacks and attack He Xinjiu with its sharp claws and beak. He Xinjiu bared her little white teeth. "Little bitch, I would have spared you if you had retreated in the face of difficulties. However, you just had to seek your own death. Then, don't blame me. Come, let's see whether the ancient ferocious beasts are stronger or you, little bitch." Before the five-colored phoenix understood what Yun Chujio meant, two huge creatures were released. One of them looked like a tiger but had a pair of slightly curved fangs. Its tail was very thick and had saw teeth on it. The other one had a huge beast head that looked like a tiger's head. It had two horns on its head and a pair of huge wings on its back. The five-colored phoenix was so shocked that it almost disappeared. Wasn't this Tao Wu and Xiong Qi? How did this brat have their remnant souls? Just as the five-colored phoenix was in shock, it heard Xiong Qi say, "Little fairy, you even dared to kill the five-colored phoenix. You have reached a new level of evil. You are becoming more and more likable." Yun Chujio was already numb to the stupid and ferocious Xiong Qi. She glared at it and said, "Cut the crap and kill it. All right. Little fairy, scold me a little more. I feel so comfortable when I hear your scolding." He Xinjiu, the five-colored phoenix rolled its eyes and said, "You are ancient ferocious beasts, but you listen to her? You are so despicable. Why don't we join hands to kill her, and the entire sky-high continent will be ours?" Xiong Qi glanced at the five-colored phoenix. "Damn it, I don't like good birds like you the most. You want to sow discord between me and my favorite little fairy, you're courting death." The five-colored phoenix was so angry that she was twitching. She turned her gaze to Tao Wu and asked, "Tao Wu, what do you say?" Tao Wu snorted coldly and said, "Even though I, Tao Wu, am a ferocious beast, I do not want to do something like possession. Do you want to die or let us kill you?" The five-colored phoenix's heart was about to collapse. The people it met today were all freaks. Each of them was more abnormal than the last. It gritted its teeth. Although Tao Wu and Xiong Qi were ancient ferocious beasts, their figures were obviously much lighter than its. It was still uncertain who would be the final victor. What was there to be afraid of? Hence, the five-colored phoenix sneered, "Since you guys are courting death, don't blame me for not being polite. I can just swallow you guys to solidify my soul." Xiong Qi curled his lips and said, "With the black-hearted little fairy here, you still want to win? You're dreaming. Little fairy, release that pig and well gang up on this mongrel chicken." Hearing that, Yun Chujio released a group of piglets with spiritual power. The five-colored phoenix was dumbfounded. What kind of trick was this? Did she want to kill it with cuteness? The five-colored phoenix disdainfully grabbed with its claws, and those piglets with spiritual power instantly dimmed a lot. Before the five-colored phoenix could be proud of itself, De Hua came out lazily. The five-colored phoenix took a step back again. It was it. Cheong-chi grinned and said, "Hey, little bastard, come on. I can use you to nourish myself. The soul of a phoenix is a great tonic." Although the five-colored phoenix was a little timid, it knew that it had to fight to the death today. It shot a fireball at Cheong-chi. Cheong-chi was not as perverse as Heishinjo. It flapped its wings and dodged the five-colored phoenix's fireball. Then, it rushed behind the five-colored phoenix. Just as the five-colored phoenix dodged Cheong-chi's attack, Tao with sharp teeth came at it again. Just as it dodged Tao with sharp teeth, De Hua's hooves came at it again. For a moment, the five-colored phoenix was forced into a sorry state by the three of them. At this moment, Yun Chujo secretly put all the phoenix feathers on the ground into her storage ring and then put away the phoenix skeleton. However, it was a pity that the 6 10,000-year-old black iron chains were very strong. She dragged it for a long time but still could not pull it down. Heishinjo rolled her eyes. She reckoned that the five-colored phoenix was dead and that the 10,000-year-old black iron chains could only be pulled down. Cheong-chi caught a glimpse of Yun Chuji's behavior and said excitedly, "Little fairy, you are really bad. We are risking our lives here, but you are taking advantage of us. How can you be so bad? I really like you too much." When the five-colored phoenix heard Cheong-chi's words, it turned around and found that its feathers and skeleton had been taken away by Heishinjo. It was so angry that it threw a fireball at Heishinjo. Heishinjo said with a smile, come on, continue to spit at me. Little bitch, why are you still alive? Hurry up and die. If you die, you'll be able to pull out the 6 10,000-year-old black iron chains. It'll be your compensation to me." The five-colored phoenix was so angry that it was about to die. It screamed sharply and pounced on Heishinjo. Heishinjo was not stupid. She naturally would not sit still and wait for death. She dodged nimbly and shouted, "Little bitch, you're dead for sure today. Don't waste your energy. Just kill yourself." The five-colored phoenix really regretted it at this moment. If it had known that this little girl was so perverted, it would have rather locked up here for tens of thousands of years. It would not have any designs on her. However, how could there be medicine for regret in this world? You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.